stage in Wuhan for this clash between the LCK champions and the finalists from the NALCS, the Immortals. If Immortals win, they secure a spot in the quarterfinals. If Longzhu win, it forces a three-way tiebreaker to be played out after this game. And Longzhu are going to change it up as we move into this one, gents. They're bringing in their top lane sub. Khan is out.
Ooh, exactly. And when we first heard Rascal is in, we're like, wait, who's that? I went to talk to Papa Smithy. He said he played one game in LCK this split. They did lose the game, but Papa Smithy says he didn't embarrass himself. He was fine. So that's as much as we're going with. Honestly, it looks like Longzhu just want to get him some stage time for the unlikely scenario in which Khan was injured or something like that happens later on. You know, you don't want anything like that to happen, but since they're secure already in the group, they want to try and, get their substitute some game time.
And I can hear all the European fans being like, wait, you're lowering your top lane strength? Why would you do this? Like, we need the three-way tiebreaker. But Immortals, they must be feeling pretty confident right now, having the opportunity to take advantage of someone who's not used to the stage. They're going to be
confidence. They're going to have to overcome a lot of the other big, priority targets here on Longzhu. Praying Gorilla, definitely a huge force from the bottom side of the map.
I think in general for Immortals, going to have to shake off kind of a lot of what's happened already this week. North America's week 2 group stage at Worlds is typically not great historically, so they're going to have to shake it off, give North America and themselves their first win of today. And if they can do that, just breathe a sigh of relief. They've made it. If not, stop flipping some tables. We're going to have some fun at the end of this game.
It's going to be an exciting day, that's for sure. It's going to be an exciting game. Question is, what do Immortals choose to prioritize? Because when we look across some of the star performers of Immortals from throughout the day, you kind of have to look at Xmithy and Pobelter, because you think of Pobelter playing a really good game in week 1. A lot of eyes were on him to level up that performance. But then in week 2, he has struggled. He hasn't had that same sort of impact. He has been getting caught out of position. He has been punished. And going up against one of the star mid laners at the whole tournament in BDD, we have to question whether or not Pobelter will be able to shake off some of his poor performances.
Exactly. We had even a stat coming into this week of how well Pobelter has absorbed enemy jungle presence early on, and in week 1 it was great. He actually had died pre-15 minutes with like 20% more enemy jungle time. However, this week he has died in every game at pre-15 minutes. See if Longzhu actually focuses around mid lane, or if he's able to get some fresh air.
Now, the last time we did see these two teams play, we saw a high priority on the Ezreal jungle from the side of Immortals, expecting a Jarvan to go into the jungle, and it ended up being Cuz bringing out the Kha'Zix and then Khan playing out that Jarvan. And Immortals did a great job of just snowballing the bottom lane. They put a huge amount of pressure onto Gorilla, utilizing this early game Ezreal pick, and the way the bans are trending right now, it feels like they could look to prioritize that once more.
And you can see there for Rascal there, of course, the top lane sub coming in for Longzhu. Actually has more games than just the one LCK. Has a 3-5 record, if I recall correctly, in the LJL, so has time in the Japanese Professional League. But this will easily be the biggest stage he has ever played on. And yes, Longzhu, they have already locked in that #1 seed, moving out of this into quarters. But what a better way to show your dominance as a team, to win Korea, come to Worlds, go undefeated, and then just throw the 3 other teams into a scramble and say, whatever, one of you's gonna make it.
Yeah, fight you, fight! Well, here we go. Last ban is Kog'Maw from Longzhu. That has been one that Cody Sun has relied heavily upon, but the things like Twitch and that are still available if they did want to go late game.
A lot of options here. Immortals favoring the Lulu, actually take it first.
I've talked to quite a few supports about the Lulu versus Janna debate that's been going on, and a lot of them say it just comes down to personal preference. To me, I feel like most of the AD carry players prefer a Lulu on their team, because as an AD carry, Lulu's power is more concentrated on the AD carry. You feel that extra attack speed, you feel the extra wild growth just on you. But as far as when I'm looking at it, the Janna and her team-wide effect of the full team-wide reset of the ultimate feels better from the team perspective, and maybe the AD carry is a little bit more weight in that one.
I do find it interesting that Longzhu looked to take away the Varus, because if they wanted to try and go for something like a Tristana here, they would expect Immortals to go for the Trist, and so Longzhu are trying to get themselves a strong 2v2 down the bottom lane. You could pair this up with the Janna, and you're guaranteed a pretty reliable 2v2 in the bottom lane that's not just going to get shoved under the tower, which is what Lulu and Trist are very well known for. And that's one of the things, talking to some of the players, they say is the key difference. Lulu, very much more powerful in terms of the laning phase, but Janna, she just has so much utility and value in resetting and the late game fights.
Kind of split the difference there as far as the first 6 picks goes. The other one, of course, is potential junglers being traded. Jarvan was the first pick overall for Longju in this rotation, and Smithy on Sejuani, so kind of out of some of the more high-tempo junglers he was known for, and back to more of a solo tank as Longju, again, still thinking about Flame in that top lane, will ban Maokai here as their first ban in Phase 2.
All right, mid lane is going to be the focus here from Immortals, taking out the Syndra from BDD first. Galio is still available as well, and they already have the Jarjan on the Longju side, so that could be a very potent combination for them if they can grab that from BDD.
Talia and Ryze also very big picks. The last time these two met up, it was Pobelter's Ryze versus BDD's Talia, and BDD, he had a lot of impact in terms of being able to roam around the map and find good picks on that champion, and also it just seems to be a big pick over in Korea. Those Talia players are pretty insane.
It's funny you mention that. There just aren't that many Talia players at this tournament, but 2 of them are on your screen right now, sitting in their respective lanes. So Trundle will instead be the ban there for Immortals. Longju targeting Cassiopeia, so a mid lane ban there for their final one, but now Longju kind of get the first option here coming out into Phase 2.
A little bit of extra power there due to the flexibility of Jarvan. They draw a top lane ban as well. Could possibly be a nice front line here. Everybody's been very happy to jump on that Cho'Gath train. So good for later in the game for the extra true damage in your frontline battles. But all our Talia talk is not in vain, and it does come through even with the Galio being available.
I think that the goal here for Longju is they still want to keep that flex option available for Jarvan, because if Immortals pick a tank top, you can put the Jarvan into it, and then you can pick something tanky in the jungle if you want. Alternatively, if you see the Cho'Gath top, you can then put the Jarvan in the jungle, and then you can pick like an answer, like Gnar is still available if they believe in Rascal to be that kind of carry player. And with Trundle banned, there's the possibility of a Camille, but I'd expect more something like Gnar.
All right, so the Corki is going to come through for Immortals in the end. They are going to have some good late game damage, along with a solid front line, but will they be able to get there? And as soon as you start talking about other champions for top lane, one of the things that has plagued some of the NA teams has been Shen from top side. It really messes with your early river control, your early bottom side control, and that is going to be the case here for Rascal, grabbing this one up.
I'm excited to see how he will stack up against Flame, who is a veteran in terms of League of Legends, playing for a number of years. Throughout the first week of group stages, he was one of the standout performers along with Pobelter on this Immortal squad, and now he's going to be going up against Rascal, who very new to a very big stage.
Yeah, I know one of the things Azale was talking about and Impact likes to do on Shen is run up through to your lane brush early on and place your Spirit Sword, go pretty far up in the lane, so that then when the tank comes up to the minions, just right off the bat you can get some pass-through Qs and try and get some early power there. But Flame does play against Impact and a lot of the NA top laners as well, so probably be expecting some shenanigans of the sort.
And Flame is going to be on that big tank to facilitate what has been a very meta composition that we've been seeing throughout groups. 2 big frontline tanks in top and jungle, 2 late game carries in the form of Corki and Tristana, and then the uncensored utility support in Lulu. You have a very similar composition from Longju, but Shen doesn't have that same sort of tankiness. His value really comes from making early plays with the Shen ultimate, trying to force picks and look for those counter engages whenever Immortals try to force something within the early to mid game.
Well, it certainly could be a tough one. Immortals, 1 win and they're in. Longju trying to go undefeated. Potentially their last time in the group stage will move out onto the Rift. Longju, this will be their last game of groups, no matter what happens. They have finished atop the mountain here in Group B. They will be first. But Immortals, if they can do what no team is yet to do here at Worlds and upset Longju, they will secure themselves that 2nd seed. So very high stakes between these two.
Every year at Worlds, Korean teams only get better from week 1 to week 2. Back in 2015, they had a 7-2 record and they went up to 8-1. Last year, they had a 6-3 record and then they went up to 8-1. This year, in week 1, they're already 8-1, and now they're looking to get that 9-0, and I feel that even though Longzhu are running a sub in the top lane, that priority is not going to change.
Certainly not. Again, wanting to show your strength. There are only 3 undefeated teams left in the tournament so far. Longzhu could be the first to 6 clean wins as the teams spread themselves out across the rift.
Interesting invades we have here. Deports for both on those blue buffs. Smithy on the Sejuani. When you take the Hunter's Machete, you do want to start on your buff and do the single target camps. Because it's very difficult for her to try and do the AoE ones without the talisman. He's actually coning over and they do get some vision here.
Well, looks like, again, a bit of a scuffle in the 2v2.
Sejuani is good at 2v2 skirmishes if they don't take extra damage from the buff because of her passive and Flame also being able to stack that one up.
Also keep your eyes on the mid laners because they are going to be pivotal and who can ascertain this buff. Whoever arrives first could be a big determining factor. As you can see, BDD now having that push should make his way over to the jungle.
Patience here is reigning supreme as neither of them actually starting up the buff. BDD, as you said, comes over to try and sway. 3 members of Longzhu back down onto the buff. They are committing, giving up some lane priority. It's still going to have a chance for Smithy to smite fight, but going to get difficult.
He's going to try and make this happen with all the burst that Sejuani has. Does not get it. Kuz steals the blue buff.
Really good timing there from Kuz. I think that when you're going up against the E plus smite combo from Smithy early on, that's a very difficult thing to predict, but Kuz is able to now get that early level 2.
Yeah, good eye there from Kuz, because that's the first time that's happened, but it's fairly annoying. Anyways, good eye from him. Even though Pobelter can say, hey, I'm going to use Frost Bomb right now to try and combo this, it has the delayed time to come down before the damage is there, and he just eyeballs it and gets the smite perfectly to secure the buff for himself. Thankfully for Smithy, he didn't smite early, and that would have been the worst of that world, but Kuz top lane is going to try and punish Flame.
This is a big power play here. Taunt lands from Roskill as well. Could get himself his first blood of his first world's Flame. Punch himself out of the way, but tagged by an auto will slow him down.
Nowhere to
Flame
go.
trying to book him with a flash. Pass through from Roskill might be enough. The rupture is good for the knockup, but they're still chasing him down. Pobelter is trying to run up with the knockup blast, and Roskill not going to grab it. It's Kuz with first blood.
And Pobelter tried to come over to lend some moral support, but there's going to be no saving him after that. This opening is going so well for Longzhu. They get the smite fight victory, then because of that victory, Kuz is able to transition into a level 2 gank on top side.
Wow, Gorilla. Solo Drana roam, I guess with BDD's help on the left of your screen. Smithy does get the blue buff, but Gorilla chased him off the rest of the camp.
And this could not be any better for Longzhu because remember, the style that they were able to win LCK champion with was through playing their top lane. Typically we see it from Khan, typically he's known for being this hyper carry, but now it is Rascal there trying to set him up for success in the early game, give him that confidence on the big stage.
And Kuz has full confidence to go over here and face check Smithy because they saw him chunked out and Summoner's Blown in his attempt to steal back some of Kuz's jungle. Regardless, Pobelter should be fine here. You know, he's getting pushed in, and you look towards mid lane game. It won't be very eventful.
Out to the bot side, Cody and Ole doing a nice job here with the Lulu and the Triss to push in and try and deny some CS, but BDD on a very early roam back to the flashless Flame.
Ooh, they really want to punish this Cho'Gath. Even though they know there's a ward here, you can just blast cone over and run past it. Flame playing a lot of respect here, though, not getting in range of the Shen taunt.
He also knows that the wave will push towards him eventually. So Flame's more than happy to just sacrifice a little bit of experience and wait for BDD to show up on the map once again. Once he does, he can go back to pushing up the lane a little bit more, but I feel like the damage has already been done. 12s against the 24 in favor of Rascal, already level 5, and you're now looking towards that level 6 play that we were talking about that we love to see from these Shens. Kuz can come bot, Prey gets level 6, and you start forcing things all across the map.
Remember, no flashes on this top side of the map because they were all blown in the early skirmishes.
Surprise here, knockup does land in. Smithy trying to fight as Flame is going to rotate back in. BDD here first as expected on the Talia. And Longzhu might even dive Flame here. TP in from Pobelter. Going to save the day.
A lot of resources here being kind of siphoned away from Immortals with this constant pressure from Longzhu.
Yeah.
They're very happy to get that mid lane teleport out without having to risk anything on the tower dive. So although Immortals are holding on here, they're slowly bleeding away more power from the top side of the map.
Longzhu are playing this early game extremely well right now, knowing exactly what to do after that. That level 2 that they got first, just stealing away the blue buff, because has not slowed down. Now the bright side for Immortals is the fact that they have this power bomb.
Bottom side though, BDD is on the way. He's not even level 6, but he's roaming through to try and get some summoners.
And walks away. Prey a little too low perhaps there for that play, but BDD, he has been so active in the first 6.5 minutes of this game. Pobelta doing what he can, pushing the way back in, but BDD, even on CS, pretty much now going to move around back to his lane, and he just keeps moving out and pressuring the side lanes of Immortal.
But he is losing a lot of experience. You can see he just lost a wave right there, and even though the farm is even, the fact that Pobelta has gotten level 6 first means that BDD's roams are not as effective as they potentially could be. He just had to move to the bot side because that tower is getting very low. Prey and Gorilla had taken a lot of damage, and there was the risk of dropping that tower much sooner than Longzhu would have liked.
Here comes Cuz as well. Shows himself here in the bot wave, shielded up by Gorilla. That's Prey already going back, gets a pickaxe and 2 daggers, not the most impactful buy early on here for Prey, but knows again, lane's been going poorly. It's 15 CS behind as Cody. He's going to get the Thunderlord to proc on, but no knock up there as Cuz. Not quite there with the flag and drag.
Interestingly, BDD going for very early burp treads in the middle lane. Wants those tier 2 boots because his focus is very much about roaming around the map like we've seen all this game.
Yeah, I guess he's also worried about the Sejuani crowd control. So he's really investing in that tenacity early on. The magic resistance is going to go a little bit of a ways, but he's back out every single time he pushes up one wave. Halfway roams down the map. Flame this time backing up. Sends BDD right back to base.
Now we need to see Longzhu looking to make a play bot though, because if things stay the way they are, Immortals are eventually going to take that tower. Once it's gone, they can start moving Cody Sun and Ole around the rest of the map, and that's where this early pressure can start to snowball in the favor of Immortals. You have a great scaling composition with the Corki and the Tristana, so the onus is on Longzhu to make the plays in this early game.
Buster shot committed there as well by Cody as Pobelta picks up the package. Cody's son didn't really see where Cuz was potential, or even BDD who could also threaten, so instead he goes back. He has 2.2k to spend, grabs himself a BF sword, a potion, and probably a couple of extra items there as well. In fact, straight for the aggression there, flat AD with an pickaxe as well.
Exactly. Sometimes we see actually teams lane swapping on this purchase. This is actually even more flat attack damage than we usually see from the first purchase of Trist, but since they're making so much headway on the bottom turret health, they're going to return back there. You do really have to re-emphasize how much of a possibility 5-man squad bottom for Longzhu is, though. They have the roaming mid and Shen top, so you have to be very, very careful if you're Immortals and kind of just poking at the danger down there and being very quick to back off. Because as soon as those ultimates are blown, you have to be very, very worried.
And look at the wards from Longzhu as well. 2 littered fairly deep into the bot jungle of Immortals, along with the control ward at the entrance to the river. They have exact knowledge as to where Xmithy is, and if, for 1 second, they feel that Xmithy cannot react, that's when they're likely to strike. But we're just keeping our eyes very closely on the setup from Longzhu and how they force this, because Immortals, it's just a waiting game for them. They don't have to force anything right now. They're going to scale very nicely. They're gradually working towards this turret, but here we go. Here comes Cuz.
Gonna try something here in the bot side now that the package is worn off there from Pobelta.
And it's actually a little bit worrying for Immortals that they have Smithy coming down here. If they attempt something, again, there's going to be a lot of extra emphasis from Longzhu on getting there quickly. Pobelta's teleport will come up pretty shortly, and that will make Immortals feel a bit more secure down here, but here they go.
And corruption land, but here's Xmithy actually. Cuz walked away from the area, but now shows himself and can't really afford to do too much. Again, IMC playing carefully.
As soon as you show your jungler on bottom side, though, Cuz goes in. He's going to counter jungle these Raptors and take it away from Smithy. Going to attempt to, at least, as Smithy finds the control ward here.
Going to take that one down, so protects his camp for now, but again, Longzhu playing very well. Just to defend when necessary and kind of take their advantage. They're actually 1,000 gold ahead pretty early on into this game, which is not an insignificant lead.
A little trick for our viewers as well to see if the teams look like they're going to commit. Well, BDD is making a roam up here, so...
Knock up there onto Roscoe, but Flame could be trapped in this one. TP in there from IMT. Pobelta going to try and save it down as Flame does get the normal to Roscoe. A good chunk of damage. Pobelta finds him in a great Spirit's Refuge. Can't protect him for long enough. Flame gets the kill.
That teleport had just come off a cooldown for Pobelta. Barely. Now can they get out alive?
The juke forward there for Flame. BDD now taking heat from Pobelta, but not enough here from the Corki.
Really good response from Pobelta. He was sick and tired of all these roams from BDD, and finally he's able to answer. They get the kill down onto Rascal, they relieve some of the pressure from Flame, and they get themselves on the kill board.
Now when Rascal comes back up, his Stand United will still be threatening. However, Flame teleport on Cho'Gath can answer that as well. So a little bit of hesitation, may come into question here. And it's all about who can get these wards past the river. Currently, they're just battling to get very shallow ones, and that's really aiding in this constant roaming.
BDD back to mid lane. First wall not successful as far as gank attempts go, thanks to Pobelta's excellent use of his global, but again, the game continues kind of as normal. Longzhu still ahead, but 500 gold now, so that early lead's been cut in half thanks to that TP play.
Considering the number of times BDD has roamed and the number of failures he's actually had, this is really good for the side of Immortals. They can be very happy with the sort of pressure that they've been able to withstand in this early game. And while the 2v2 in the bottom lane no longer sits underneath Longzhu's turret, overall they're still scaling nicely, they're still in a good spot, and they've even been able to equalize this kill score.
Cuz has also thrown a lot of pressure that way. Xmithie's kind of been there, but not quite on time for a gank or counter gank. But now again, IMT taking further hold of this right-hand side of the map. Longzhu with good defensive control wards, but if Xmithie and Pobelta especially can sneak down there, then there's potential for a play here, because Gorilla is very squishy if he gets tagged by some sort of CC chain.
Cuz walks in, gets some of that deeper vision. Pobelta, I believe, saw him put it though, so Immortals should be aware of that issue.
Cuz taking a bit of damage, but BDD again able to push back down with Pobelta leaving that mid lane. So a lot of attention here towards the spot side that has relieved something for Flame, but we're going to watch this one again and how good of a play this was for Immortals.
Now, note here, just keep your eyes on the cooldowns as well. TP has come back up. Flame also has flash. But he doesn't flash over the wall, he flashes towards his teleport because he knows if he buys enough time, Pobelta can help him swing this fight in his favor. BDD is stuck on the ground. Pobelta is just soaking up the skill shots from BDD, and that allows Flame to stay alive long enough to get the consumption and equalize the kills.
Yeah, the coordination there, Flame's very well aware of them trying to turn that one around. Flashes the seismic shove. He was almost able to walk out of the little indicator, but very close and didn't want to, risk it there. This bottom lane turret, though, this is probably going to be the powder keg that explodes. As we said, Stand United and teleports could come in to the bottom side, and the Longzhu bottom teleport getting so low might be a little bit dangerous, because that can oftentimes be used as bait, since it is such a decently valuable objective.
And it is a little concerning that Longzhu haven't tried to force anything yet, but it's not too late for them. IMT, they're still working towards their first items. They haven't completed anything yet as they're looking to try and get onto Pobelta.
He holds onto it.
There's a steal here for Pobelta. Ultimate finds BDD who insta-cleanses out of the way.
So last package here, the re-engage from the roam on bottom. Actually, a lot of damage there dealt by Pobelta and some confident play, confident footwork.
Has the Sorcerer's Boots along with the Sheen. You then have the extra kite ability with the Phage on top of the package, and Pobelta able to walk away. Level 11 now, getting that experience advantage after all the roaming being done by BDD. So Pobelta making up for his performances from earlier in the day, and now starting to contribute a lot as he continues to scale up.
Part of the issue here is that Xmithie is going to try this again, but Cody has a ton of unspent gold. Actually, again, more than 2,000 gold, and the Rage Blade's already done for prey.
That's a really good point, bringing up the power difference here as far as in-combat power already out on the field. This Rage Blade is a pretty big spike for Varus if he could stay mobile. A lot of crowd control floating around down bottom side, though.
And I'm sure Immortals would love to spend this gold, but the moment they back, they're going to lose that tower. And that makes things favorable in terms of tempo towards Longzhu, and so they're trying to bring Smithy down here to relieve some of that pressure. Maybe if they can force a wave out, then Cody Sun and Ole can go back. But now Longju, they're finally looking to make that play.
This could be it. Here comes the party. Level 2 ult there for Roscoe, and the dunk instantly is onto Ole. Goodbye as BDD able to take him down, and the turret goes with it.
Doesn't even bother to flash. Ole gets obliterated after spending a little too long on the bot side. We were just talking about that unspent gold, and now they can finally spend it.
All right, well, Longju's going to take the dragon right afterwards, and it's a little bit of a response on top side where Flame is pushing that up, but Longju very happy to get first turret bonus plus an Earth Drake on top.
Interesting, the Rascal would use his Shen ultimate there. I guess they want him to be secure and safe on the play. Smithy, don't think he's going to go for the steal. No need to give away his life for a very early mount.
Well, mountain over to Longju instead. As Cody, still not back, by the way, decided to stay for the waves and push this in. The turret is low, so if they're thinking that Longju are going back now, which they are as we can see, maybe Rascal's not enough to defend it. Immortals can finally equalize that turret.
Yeah, they definitely like to execute this so he can purchase on his next back. Already, Cody Sun is sitting on almost 2,800 gold in pockets. Now he also gets that turret gold, and it's going to be a very big purchase.
It's 3k unspent for Cody. But on the other side, his teammate Pibelta has actually got his Trinity Force, so you can kind of see
They're still going.
a lot of the item timings weren't quite there, but yeah, IMT just want to do this.
They're able to do this because Pobelta still has push in mid. BDD is forced to come mid and can't wave clear bot, and they've already seen that Varus is top lane as well. So Mortals know that there shouldn't be enough wave clear on the bot side, but Rascal with a good defense keeps that turret damage to a minimum.
Meanwhile, they're able to secure their own blue and not have to give that one up, despite committing jungler to that top side for quite a long time. The other thing Immortals now need to worry about is a top lane dive. Now Longju actually setting up for that possible roam.
Again, level 2 wall for BDD, so right now,
Pobelta
4v1
teleport is
for
ready.
Flame. All right, can we see a repeat of this play? IMT also running the bot lane up the lane here as a good rupture on Dupre will delay this siege for a long time.
I wonder if Longju saw the bottom lane on their way or just expected it to happen. I think they wanted to try and bait the teleport out from Pobelta, but he was not budging until he saw some kind of commitment from Longju. That means that no summoner spell ends up getting used, neither advantage really gained for either side.
Again, steely resolve here for IMT in the face of a very fearsome opponent, but Longju not really done landing up. Oh, here's the TP. Smithy looks for the ultimate, does throw down Gorilla, but now they're in onto Prey. Great cut up there, double TP for IMT. Smithy takes down Gorilla. Flame gets the kill onto Prey, and a clean 2-0 team fight win.
Fantastic 5-man collapse from INT onto the duo lane of Longju. Rascal did not have his Shen ultimate up. BD did not have his ultimate to try and save them, and this is going to give 2 swift kills in favor of Immortals, along with a tier 1 tower in the top.
Shen pushing on bottom side, and Rascal wants to try and get that objective first. BDD as well in mid lane, so Longju will get some gold for themselves.
Not a bad trade at all.
I think it's really worth mentioning, you're right, like, Immortals committed a lot to that play, and while at first glance it looks really good, they get a bunch of kills, they get a tower, the fact that Longju get a tier 2 and the mid lane is going to open up a lot of the map for them.
BDD now going in with the Shen, stand united.
Oh, Cody now going to try and jump out, but he moves through the rocks as BDD is going to keep pummeling him. So make sure trying to predict the flash. The flash shot's not going to hit, but BDD cleans it up anyway.
BDD enters right back with the Rascal on his back, and now they've got control around the Riptail. Going to take this one down pretty quickly. You would imagine that they would then transition into the top tower.
You would expect as much, seeing as you have Longju Prey pushing up towards the top lane, but now BDD has to answer mid. If he keeps this mid tower alive, this whole set of circumstances goes heavily in the favor of Longju.
Would have been great for IMT to crack that turret, but not quite enough as the Rift Tower does go over. Russ? No, it actually was Cuz picks it up. Rascal just standing in a spot, and Prey, the extension of this play again. Longju, so much time on the map, up in tempo, taking so much here as BDD finds himself solo killed.
Fantastic play from Pobelta. Getting that solo kill is going to relieve a lot of pressure around the map as well. Taking down that turret, closing the goal gap. Pobelta really stepping up for Immortals.
Huge plays from him. He teleports up top slide to save Flame in the earlier little skirmish. Able to get the solo kill plus mid lane turret afterwards. But here's another look at the solo lane combination that was able to find Cody Sun.
Now Cody, he doesn't want to use his flash just yet. He's waiting for the W. He sees it and he's like, I'm taking a lot of damage. And then Rascal doesn't expect BDD to be able to land everything. but then he ends up dying. And now we get to see exactly how this 1v1 happened. Pobelter, he just hard commits. He has more damage than BDD does. He has his flash up too. And then he ends up getting the circuit jump. That was pretty straightforward from Pobelter.
Very good stuff there for Immortals, and we kind of saw, moving into, at least for today, Immortals, we saw in week 1 their solo laners look so good. The bottom lane a little more shaky here, especially for Cody, with so little experience, in fact no experience on this stage, but Flame had been playing well. Pobelta stepping up, and now Immortals as a team need to be playing to probably the highest level they've ever played in quite a long time, because beating Longzhu is possible, but it is so difficult, and they are still behind 2,000 gold. But to their credit, they are keeping the game close.
The last time Immortals and Longzhu met, Immortals were the team that had the early game lead and were forced to make a lot of early plays, but then one bad decision by going for a Drake ended up losing them the Baron, and then they almost immediately lost the game. Longzhu are in a slightly different situation now, where Immortals have the scaling composition. They're going to have really good team fighting later on into the game, and the pressure's more on Longzhu to try and force action to happen. They still need to utilize the channel, and they still need to try and find more of these roams.
Yeah, there definitely is a little bit of that advantage as far as the scaling for Immortals, but it's not this huge thing that's going to, end the game. So Longzhu, they do have some pressure on them to stay proactive, but they do need to also be careful about where they apply this. Because if you throw away a lot of money to this squad, as you're saying, it can definitely go the other way. It could be it.
Gorilla caught here, but does heal his way out of trouble. Cuz hooks in, but a good early rocket jump from Cody might protect him. Ole, flash ulti, maybe not so lucky as the Stand United. Also going to deliver the Shen. Pobelta can't make it to the fight in time, but Flame is here.
They might actually have a collapse in the works.
It's a pincer maneuver. Good stun there. Oh, sorry, from Flame. There's actually now the damage keep moving through. Longzhu trying to find an angle, but Rascal taunts Cody. Oh no, Cody barely going to live with the hot barriers out of the way, and Flame kills Rascal with a feast. Still going forward, Longzhu try to find an exit, but they do not grab it. Still, I think they have enough traction to take this Drake.
They have the health bars, and they force Cody's son back. There's 2 Warbogs on Immortals, so Smithy's going in for it.
He's going straight in for it, but Kuz does secure it. Smithy, he's chilling out, forced to flash over the wall.
Look at the mid lane though, Pobelta, he's pushed that wave all the way up to the tower. He has the Sheen, he's getting a lot of damage down, and even though they end up losing the Ocean Drake, they get a kill, they get a lot of damage to the tower. And Immortals, I feel like they can be pretty happy with this overall.
Oh yeah, they're so happy, because when you're talking about the compositions and you're talking about the scaling, a lot of it for Immortals is when they're grouped up as 5. They evade during the Shen ultimate, and they kind of kite out the strength of that Longzhu, which would be catching someone off guard, then re-engage with the 5-on-5. Tank wars with Cho'Gath and Sejuani on your side are definitely what Immortals want to see.
Especially in those extended engages, because then they back away, the Warmogs regenerates the HP, and then they're more than happy to go back into the fight. So let's see how this all started up.
Alright, so Smithy, he tries to get the jump onto Gorilla, and they're able to disengage as soon as they see Cuz coming. They're expecting the Shen teleport. There they go with the extra slow from Smithy, and the heal from Olay kind of deters Rascal from trying to keep that chase up, even with the home guards. Then, as soon as they have their tanks in place, they feel more confident.
You've got to keep your eye on Rascal. Really good taunt on the Cody side, but where's the follow-up? Cuz can't use his EQ because it's still on cooldown. You don't have backline threat in the form of Prey and BDD. They just have to keep hitting the tanks, and they don't die nearly as fast as Rascal does.
And then Flame puts it on display right there. That's why you don't want to go to tank wars with Cho'Gath. He gets the true damage execute, and that's why Immortals were able to get that kill. In the end, though, Longzhu still went back and took the Ocean Drake for themselves.
I'm sorry, Flame's bigger than the Rift Herald. The Longzhu just kind of let loose his
Purple
monsters running out.
Exactly. The ultimate Void Master Battle. Flame ends up winning. Congratulations, you're the greater monster.
We were kind of building that up to be epic, but Flame looked like that was an effortless, one-sided fight.
Well, again, this game's still very tense. In fact, Longzhu not quite 1,000 gold ahead. And I believe this game has been kept within 2 to 3 for most of it. So IMT feeling much more confident with the items on their carries and their tanks to try and do something aggressive.
They're very happy with the situation that they're currently in. We've talked a lot about scaling, but just look at some of the spikes that Immortals have picked up for themselves, i.e. Trinity Force, i.e. Static Shiv, double Warmogs with a Righteous Glory. This team is poised and ready to fight.
Yeah, even though Longzhu still have this very small gold lead, they still, it feels like you have to get creative. You have to utilize the extra movement speed or the extra, teleports that you have on your team to kind of get an advantage on this Immortal squad. Because again, if Immortals get to set up battle lines, they've got 2 Infinity Edge using DPS and a very strong front line if they can sprite a kind of standard front to back, then that would definitely be the optimal situation for them.
And don't forget, we saw Fnatic a few minutes ago kind of watching this game intently. There are 3 teams' fates on the line in this last game of the group stage here in Group B. So a lot going on. Immortals just heads forward trying to find the win. Longzhu love to be undefeated as they threaten as one of the potential favorites of the tournament coming off an LCK championship defeating SKT. There's so much to show for both these teams, and for Immortals, a win here, that's it.
All right, what Longzhu would want to do, try and push the side lanes here. Make use of their Talia, of their Shen, and that side lane pressure to try and split up Immortals. Fnatic there on camera, though, they want desperately for that to happen.
They were laughing and kind of joking around a bit before, but Reckless looks a lot more nervous.
I mean, you have to think from Fnatic's perspective, coming in today, especially after their week 1 performance and after what they were saying in social media, that they were not feeling that confident coming into today. Their expectations were not that this was going to be a 3-way tie, but now it all depends on the performance of Immortals. And again, they are looking very good. They can match the 1-3-1 because they have the double teleport themselves. Pobelta feels very strong and arguably should win out on the 1v1 against BDD if he just makes that one misstep, and he's using that to confidently push up. He has no wards. He's got to be a little bit more cautious.
You're making a good case here, Vedius, but I would caution with NA Week 2. That's all I've got.
Also, Longzhu.
Longzhu
Could be a bit risky, but BDD here, Rascal ready with the Stands United. So again, IMT, incredible patience as they just try and slowly set up the game. Methodical is not usually what we associate with Immortals. We associate it with their opponents, but today Immortals are just trying to play slowly and steadily.
All right, Longzhu have Shen in the bottom side to get the bottom creep wave moved up. That's the optimal one for Baron situations. They've got BDD currently getting topside moving, so Immortals, while they are feeling solid in a 5-on-5, you know, the side lanes are starting to close in, and the timer is definitely ticking down.
And intense games like this, things crack so quickly as soon as something like a big Baron fight happens or the objective goes over to a team. Even an Infernal Drake is up in about 50 seconds to add a little more spice to this very, very interesting mid-game. We're approaching the 30-minute mark, and again, with barely 2,000 gold between the teams, neither team is out of it. And yes, IMT will be happy to sort of wait, but there's no guarantee if you get to 45, 50 minutes that the game's going to go your way.
The thing is, for Immortals, is that when you look at how they've played throughout the day, game 1, they got caught completely unawares by the high aggression, the high playstyle that we saw from the Gigabyte Marines. Then against Fnatic, they hold the lead for the majority of the play, but then a few individual mistakes is what resulted in them effectively falling apart. Now, those individuals cannot afford to make those same mistakes in this scenario. Longzhu are not the kind of team or have the kind of players that make those individual mishaps, and they will look to punish you if you make one wrong step.
Definitely true. We've got an eye on the vision as well here, as the Immortals are actually moving it up quite nicely, setting up for this fight. The ultimate from BDD used very early on, and again, every ultimate like that, those are the creative tools, the possibilities that Longzhu would want to use to get that advantage, try and get the avenue where they can actually break up those battle lines from Immortals. But one more not going to be on the table.
Can't see anything as Cuz dives in. He could be the killer as the Sands and doesn't already get used. Cody though, maybe walks a little too far away, but Immortals are still trying to do it. A busted shot splits the fight him again as Cuz dives into the carries to try and get something happen. A big silence there as Flame on a rampage takes out the jungler, but he does get shut down.
Holy moly, what a hero move from Cuz. He knows he has the Shenna. He survives for so long, and now their eyes are on the Baron.
And he's going to go in for this. He has flash as well. It's too late. No, they don't pull the trigger.
Pobelta went back as well, I think hoping he could TP back into it, but Longzhu take their 3rd Drake of this game, and it will be an Infernal added to the stockpile.
So surprised that it was Longzhu that pulled the trigger in that fight. I figured it would be so dangerous to try the full 5-on-5 against this Immortals composition, but it was because of the good decision-making from Cuz and forcing Cody-san out. So keep your eyes on the Jarvan. He's the one you want to be following as he gets an EQ combo onto Cody-san. That forces the AD carry out of the fight, and now Longzhu can just focus the front line because the back line threat of Cody disappears almost instantly.
Yeah, Cody then comes back in to try and flank, and he uses his ultimate to knock out the DPS of Longzhu. That's what buys time for Immortals to actually get the 1 kill, and it ends up being 1-for-1, but in the end, that's a very big prize. The Infernal Drake going over.
Yeah. but it was also because of the ultimate from Prey too, because he lands it onto Xmithy, and that spreads to Cody's son, who then has to back out of the fight once more. And you can just see the damage difference between the two AD carries. He just could not get involved in the fight. And you just have to recognize this is the individual talent we were talking about on Longju, and how you need to be stepping up if you want to match the caliber of this team.
And again, we look over to Immortals, we think about their players and what they've put together to make this run to get to Worlds. I have to again look at Pobelter this game, the team's captain, one of his most experienced players in the NALCS. Had a great week 1, a not so good start to week 2, but if he carries this game for his team, he can erase all that from his memory.
And he's setting himself up to do it. 105 on the Corki. 3 items completed. This guy is ahead in levels, he's ahead in power, and he has the ability to carry the whole game, but it's all about how he positions, what priority targets can he get onto, and how much of a risk is he willing to take.
Well, he's got the package, and he's ready to deliver it. What's going to be inside? Is it going to be a victory here and a pass on to quarterfinals, or are they going to take themselves into the tiebreaker scenario?
Well, Roscoe again, both globals up, so he's ready to split push down the bot side. Flame is sticking with his team in these tense situations around Baron. You need to have your choke available, but that is giving Longju a huge side lane advantage.
See Rascal sitting on the side lane with TP, with the ultimate. Would expect BDD to move topside, but because he wants to try and force a fight.
Cody again, but holds his cooldowns. Such a great threat from Cuz, but bluff call there from Cody.
And meanwhile, Pobelter in the top side on Corki with his Stream Force, slowly moving towards that turret. BDD is going to arrive to try and wave clear, but Pobelter is going to be able to join. He uses the package.
I think he did use it actually to get over. That means IMT going to try and start something here, but no vision, no angle for a Sejuani ultimate.
It could have also been timing out there, and now Immortals are left with a bottom lane pushing Shen, while all grouped up here around mid lane, and they do not have control of the minion waves.
You got to go so soon here for Immortals. And looks like maybe the call is onto the Baron. They clean out the vision. They know they've got full domain.
Immortals do have a pretty fast Baron clear with the Corki and the Cho'Gath ultimate, but they're too afraid to commit as long as you have priority mid lane.
Yeah, Longju call that bluff. They keep Rascal down bottom. He's making a lot of work on that turret.
And Flame's going to be late here to this party.
They're going to
the wave is too big. Roscoe's going to take that solo. They're actually going to gank him instead. The 2 TPs up bot side, so Roscoe has to try and get away. Silence there by Flame. The Rupture's going to miss. He dodges out of the way, flashes out over the wall, and I think he's maybe safe. Cody, though, is also coming in.
Yeah, he's got another wall to try and jump over here, and the rest of his
mind.
team are drawing Immortals up towards the Baron.
Longju are afraid themselves to commit to the Baron. They don't think that they can take it down quickly enough. They will be happy with the tower. No summoner spells were used from Immortals, but now if... Okay, Prey's going to go back to base. I thought maybe Longju could try and rush it with Rascal's ultimate on top of them. Not going to take that gamble. Instead, everything is going to reset, and Longju with a very slight advantage in the bottom lane.
Well, no control words here right now for IMT. We'll sweep out this one as the Baron. Ooh, Tornado a little short, so Xmithy able to freely take down the ward in the back. Going to take the speed train and the Scuttlecraft down as well. And again, Immortals building up their strength on their carries, approaching 4 items, but still have yet to find their fight.
I still feel like Immortals right now are in the power position. They're the ones that find it easier to force the fights. They're the ones that have the better scaling, and it's on them to really just wait for Longju to make the slip up. But this Korean powerhouse are not making that mistake. They came back from a 10,000 gold deficit and were still able to win. And right now, they're not giving Immortals that window to force that fight.
Will Immortals remain cool under the split pressure? Once again, Rascal's down bottom, and he's getting the wave moving. They're taking over vision around the Baron. This is where teams are made and lost, is around this Baron with a bottom lane pressure. There is no inhibitor turret on that bottom lane inhibitor. The threat is very real.
You know, we talked about how this means a lot for Fnatic, but it also means a lot for the Gigabyte Marines, because if Immortals win this game, they secure themselves the quarterfinal spot, and that battle tiebreaker situation doesn't happen. So Gigabyte Marines and Fnatic are both putting in their fate into Longju so that every single team can try and find their way out of this group.
Longju fans, Fnatic fans, and Gigabyte Marine fans all together in this one versus Immortals fans.
The North American squad, they have not had a great week so far, but this could be the win that changes everything. And Immortals, they're in a situation to do it.
I mean, again, look at that stack on these marksmen. Pobelta and Cody, 4 items each. Prater with a lot of shields as Cody's going in, but Cody holds the line. The Chain Corruption is good, but he's a rejected to reset the fight. Unity going in as Pobelta tries to get his way out. Does finally go down to Prater Smithy. Oh, he splits the difference on the ulti as Flame. Late TP's in and gets caught in BDD's wall.
We talked about how Pobelta needed to be the carry for his team, and he is the one that gets caught out. He uses the flash. It is not enough, and now Longju have their eyes on the Baron.
All right, Rookie, get in there. Cody, you need to salvage this fight for your team, but Longju tearing down the Baron, and I just don't know if there's a way to try and get in here.
Are they going to go for the 50-50?
Flame's got ult. It wouldn't even be 50.
That's true.
Here's Flash as well. Longju have to be patient, but now they split off the carries. Cody tags Prey for a good chunk of damage, but Immortals are split.
Remember that Pobelter has teleport, so if Immortals can delay long enough for him to revive, then he can join. But now they're cut off here. The 2 tanks might just go down for this.
2v5. Pobelta dead for 14 more seconds. Smithy goes down, and now the smite's out from this Baron attempt.
Cody's on running down mid lane, taking turrets, and Flame still threatening the flash over to try and execute with his ultimate.
Big Rupture finds 3.
Teleport for Pobelter is up. He could join.
Immortals, what's the choice? Are they going to go now? Pobelta, get a chandler, looking for a fight. Able to smite down the Baron, but they're going to still fight. Another Big Rupture is Pobelta into the back of the fight. Prey shut down by Cody's son. Rascal does take out Pobelta, but the fight is continuing. BDD still here. The knockoff finds Cody, and Longju turn it around.
What a crazy fight, but everything falls apart for Immortals. Longju are the ones to come out on top. They get the 3 kills in the Baron pit, and they secure the Baron.
And they're going to be able to move over to the Elder Dragon as well. That team fight has huge rewards.
Look at the excitement on the Gigabyte Marine's face. It's ecstatic right now after Longju with such a massive fight.
I believe that is because of the expected favor there to Longju.
Well, we said the game was close, but Longju have now finally broken ahead of the pack.
Oh, they actually did not, try and rush down that Elder Dragon. With Smithy having died so much earlier, he was actually back up.
Look at Flame, uses ulti, 1.5k damage, just slightly miscalculates it. And Longju, they get the smite, they get the skirt. Now, that was a fantastic package from Pobelta, but he also throws himself into the middle of 3 members of Longju. BDD dealing damage on the side means that he's not any real threat, and even though Prey ends up going down, Longju get all the kills onto the primary carries and walk away happy champions.
That's a picture of a happy chappy.
Woo!
Right, guys?
And now the Dragon, still started here by Longju. Immortals not in position. Flame in the top lane, dealing with Rascal. Pesky side lane shenanigans again. So Longju, they already took the Baron. They're going to likely take the Elder Dragon here as well, but Smithy and the rest of Immortals actually kind of hoping to defend here.
Shen ultimate is available. Cho'Gath forced the group because he has no TP.
They're going. Kaz, he's going to jump back in onto the carries. Now Shen's going to join the fray. Prater letting it rip at the huge shot. Might be in there. Redemption's good as Flame. Takes down Kaz, but Smithy dies to Prey. Pobelta zoned off by BDD as Flame is trying to tank as best he can, but Rascal just so much help to work with his Prey. Going to find himself with a double kill. Cody flooded out under the shove, and now maybe they can turn it around.
That was not a great wall from BDD, but Longju still come out ahead in the fight. Junglers have been traded. Flame is added to the side of Immortals. And Longju, their eyes are back towards the Baron with no smite available.
Yeah, Elder Dragon here is going to be an option, but without any smites, there is no super secure, clean finish here from Longju, and Pobelter might be able to thread a rocket in there. I don't know if they actually want a chance. I guess they are going to take their chances here. It's a small chance for the steal. Immortals are going to throw everything they have, though.
Control ward in, just have to kind of read the play and see what happens. First rocket's going to miss, and that's Elder Dragon over to Longju.
Is it still a 50-50 if there is no smite?
Longju did a very good job of zoning off any possible damage that could come in. Not only were they threatening Pobelter, but they're also standing in front to blow up the rocket.
And I want to keep your eyes on Coz once again, because that ulti was fantastic. It keeps Smithy separated from the backline, and Codyson forced to focus Coz down while he has the Shen ultimate on top of him along with the Spirit's Refuge. So Codyson can't force his way through the tanks in the same way that Prey can, and Longju set themselves up pretty much for success. And then the ulti even forces Gorilla to use his flash. BDD, probably not ideally how he wanted to use that one.
Well, still a team fight win there for Longju, who have Not too much Baron left, but now going to play with the Elder Dragon buff. As you can see, just how impressive Prey has been on this Varus. You talk about big late game carries like Tristana, the likes of someone like Corki, who stacks up so well for the full item build, but Prey has been king of these team fights so far. Longju, as patient as ever, never really felt like, despite the potential scaling difference in these comps, despite the power points and models hit, this did again, played a very slow game, found their window, took the Baron, took the Elder, and now they're 7,000 gold ahead, trying to look and close this game.
Here they go, all grouping up around the top side. Again, Rascal split pushing on bottom, getting the minion wave moving. Still, the inhibitor is exposed.
Chilling out again, kind of war between the lanes very quickly. But he's at level 18, but IMT maybe just need a couple of engages to go their way. They have the team fight power if they can fight it properly, but so far Tristana and Corki have not been in the same spot to really DPS. Longju have played the fights very well.
Yeah, they really have. It's been so difficult for both Cody-san and Pobelta to really damage that backline, but to be fair, this game has all been about which frontline dies first, and typically you would expect that Xmithie and Flame survive longer just because of how tanky they are, but that's not the case because of the use of Cuz and him being the one that's always starting these engages, and Rascal and how effective Spirit's Refuge is against the double AD carry comp. For a substitute that's come in for his first Worlds game, he has done a fantastic job so far.
Yeah, they're mitigating a lot of Cody-san's damage by putting threat onto him. So Cody-san is spending a lot of these team fights, you know, walking around or rocket jumping and trying to disengage, whereas Prey is almost 100% auto attack uptime. So that's why we're seeing so much output from the Baron.
Oh, Flame was dying over the wall. It's Cuz actually flashed in to try and get a Rascal again, blocking all of the shots with a stun. He's going to hit Cuz on the left side. The Feast isn't bad, but the Redemption will reset it as Prey. Aggressively forward, not going to eat the Rupture, just keeps moving in towards Immortals.
A lot of summoner spells were used on the side of Longju, so Immortals feeling pretty confident. Flame, he's going to back off, does have the TP, and look at the ward in the lane, but he's not going to set up the play fast enough. That means they won't be able to get the collapse, and Longju are forced to back away.
Round 2 does not transpire. IMT hold on to their inhibitors for a little while longer. Cody, full build, now on the Triss. Pobelta cannot be very far away with 1,000 gold in the bank and a BF sword as that final component item. We are pushing ourselves to a very late stage of the game, and at some point this gold lead will dissolve, and it's just a question of can Immortals outfight the LCK champions?
Well, so far they haven't been able to, and I think that's going to get even harder as Prey decides to sell his GA for what I believe looks like a Mercurial Scimitar. This guy has an 858 damage per minute score so far in this game. Extremely impressive damage output, and you'd expect that on the Varus it becomes much harder, but certainly not for an AD carry like Prey.
Well, again, Longju just bide their time, go back. Baron is up in 5 seconds, so Longju making sure they prepare properly for this objective.
Yeah, Immortals have already done their homework, though. They've got Scuttle and a bunch of wards littered all over by Baron. So we are going to get another look at it. Again, the recipe, as we say for Longju, send your Shen bottom. There's an exposed inhibitor. Create that pressure. Force the hand of Immortals.
There's Immortals that are now looking to force the hand.
Very aggressive Baron start here. IMT just sitting in the pit and tanking a good wall from BDD. Actually cuts off Cody most importantly, but Flame still there ready with the smite. Rascal's in with a Stance United. Cody getting shredded down, forced to burn the barrier. Immortals, a split fight here as Pobelta once again. Chuck Rascal finds Cody, but it's not quite enough just yet. IMT still fighting on 2 fronts as BDD got low. Pobelta trying to thread it in there, but he can't quite finish it off. Prey flashes forward, gonna try and finish the fight, and Flame goes down. Cody out the way this time, and that 1v4 flashes out.
Longju once again demonstrating why they are the LCK champions, getting another amazing fight against Longju. They forced them back, and they've got their eyes on the Baron.
Alright, again, last chance to win as Prey almost gets assassinated by Pobelta's Corki. Xmithie ready for the steal, but BDD's caught him. Cuz back out with a slow. Gonna try and take down the jungler, but Cody's still going with the DPS. The carry for Immortals still alive.
Immortals here, last ditch effort. They do not get in, and now Longju with Baron buffer coming for the base.
Time to book it. IMT abandoned ship as Longju now have the Baron.
And I can't wait to to break down this replay, because this time it was tanks on tanks and carries on carries. Bray getting onto the back line, doing so much work, making Cody's life a difficult once again.
Tanks on tanks with Baron sandwich in the middle, auto-attacking the entire time. Here goes the wall, and that's what's going to corner off Pobelter and Flame inside this Baron pit. Cuz sees it get slow, and he knows that Immortals want to execute, so he gets right in there. They're cornered inside on the back, and it's just dishing out the damage.
And you just Bray doing so much work, walking all the way past the tanks, his eyes focused onto Cody, and I hope we get the damage count afterwards, because I think you'll find that Cody, he just could not have the impact that he wanted to in this fight. Bray is always under zero threat. And it just, when you pair that up with a Janna, you're now seeing the late game differences, the late game value between Janna and Luke.
So it's a funny thing about Stoneplate, when it raises your max HP, so all the percentage HP damage really does shine in those team fights. And against the Smithy and Flame frontline here with Cho'Gath and Sejuani, extremely high health pools, you do get a lot of that. And so that also helps fund those numbers. But Bray has just been outstanding here. Actually, not just here, but all group stage long. And a huge part of why Longzhu are looking to end it undefeated.
They've certainly been in form ever since they win in the LCK. This team are going to go undefeated here in their first ever World as Rascal continuing the side lane pressure in top. This inhib has not been taken yet, but Longzhu, they are persistent.
Longzhu, they're looking to close things out. They brought in their sub. At first, it didn't feel like they were utilizing the Shen properly, but he's been doing so much work with Cuz in these fights. And Bray and BDD being those main damage dealers. The game felt very close in the mid points, but Longzhu with the team always coming out ahead in these fights.
With a support like Gorilla on a champion like Janna, Praise has been playing with such confidence very well. Could be the best bottom lane in the world. They are absolutely in contention given how good they have been, and Prey showing off in this game versus Immortals.
And reminder, if Longzhu win this game, they force the battle of the tiebreakers. Every other team in Group B will be looking to secure that quarterfinal spot, while Longzhu will end their group stages at 6-0.
Praise is not taking any damage here. Gonna finally finish off that inhib. Longzhu again, the patience is rewarded as they finally break the bottom inhibitor.
Everybody on the edge of their seats kind of waiting for Longzhu to deliver the last blow. An inhibitor is down. Immortals are making a play on Rascal, but the rest of the team are rotating up.
Praise actually in mid lane now, pushing down yet another inhibitor. I believe his BDD cuts everybody off at the pass. And Kaz again finds a knock up on the Cody Sun. He's trying to get the damage done, but Flame just melts in front of the Longzhu damage. The inhibitor falls, and now it's 5v4.
Longzhu, they're looking for the final inhibitor. They're looking for their final winning groups. Immortals are not that today, as Longzhu have their eyes on the Nexus.
Gonna push forward here. Flame dead for 50 more seconds. But Nexus turret number one under threat. Pobelter with the package needs to maybe make something happen, but a massive redemption gonna re-heal the team. Longzhu feel like cannot finish just yet.
3 inhibitors destroyed, though. Their work substantial. Elder Dragon coming up in 30 seconds. I think they want to add that one to their list of accolades.
Want to pad out the objective scoreline, you know, moving into quarters. But they will set up a bit of vision as they make their way out. Going to go back to base, spend the last bit of gold. But we're in the super late game. It doesn't matter that much. And now we can just look back at their attempts to take down Rascal.
Yeah, and we're going to have the wall from BDD. Nice cutoff here. Separates the Immortals team from, trying to defend. And Bray here moves right up. Even though he gets hit with a rupture, not phased at all. Gets to turn around and completely obliterate Flame.
Poor Flame. He just kind of got left out to dry. He's such a big target too. It's kind of hard not to hit him. And then now both teams resetting around the Elder. If Immortals can take the Elder Dragon, then maybe they can win a fight and turn this game around. But Longzhu, they just have to play the patient game. They have 3 inhibitors taken from Immortals, and those super minions will just slowly work into the base, and someone from Immortals has to answer.
It does feel like Immortals might just be giving it up as Prey topping the charts in damage here in this game, very unsurprisingly. Elder Dragon over to Longzhu, Immortals to side. They only have one team fight. They're going to make their final stand in front of their Nexus.
All right, backs against the walls for Immortals. Longzhu with the Elder Dragon, 3 Elemental Drake buff. huge gold advantage, and 3 inhibitors down.
Well, Longzhu pushing in for what could be the final time of their group stage. Immortals, there's been never another time to go as Prey. Oh my god, he just sniped Pobelta. PDD in there as well. He is deservedly unstoppable as he takes down the Corki. Immortals just can't do anything as Cast will go down to Alabedic Smithy. He'll burn down next. Prey got himself a triple kill as he might look to close out with a Penta, but it is academic, immaculate, and most importantly, undefeated as Longzhu and the Storm that swept through Group B.
51 minutes is how long it took Longzhu to end the game. Immortals fought hard, but every time they tried to challenge the Korean powerhouse, they could not keep up, and Longzhu were the ones to take the victory in the end.
And congratulations to Rascal. They did it with their substitute player. He is undefeated. He is 1-0 here at Worlds as well.
Matching his team now in their efforts here in the World's group stage.
And what an immaculate performance from just so many members. Cuz with his great engages, the support that he had from Rascal, knowing that he could just commit to the backline and he wasn't going to instantly lose his life. PDD with a number of great balls, consistent damage output from Prey, and Gorilla just always being there to make sure that his carries were not at risk. A fantastic overall team performance, and you can see how they are such a scary team, and no one wants this team in the quarterfinals.
Well, I've just been told that Prey had 1,500 damage per minute.
It's not bad.
It's a 51-minute game. It might inflate it a little bit, but that is an awfully consistent amount of damage on Longzhu. Certainly deserve a lot of praise we are throwing their way.
And now, we get the tiebreakers, boys. Nobody thought it would happen. North America went 0-3, Fnatic went 2-1. It's now a battle to the death as Group B fights for that quarterfinal
This
spot.
is kind of what we're used to, right? Korea #1, everybody else
Yes,
fight.
Well, the Watch 3 teams fight it out for the last spot. Immortals got to keep their mouse and keyboards at those computers because they're up next as Longzhu. They did get the win, but for more, we'll head over to the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Pastry Time. Kobe echoing the sentiments of many NA fans. Hey, we've been here before. At least this is a comfortable position. But with Longzhu defeating Immortals, we will have a 3-way tie for second place in Group B. So to get a little business out of the way, since the teams have the same head-to-head record, the first seed will go to the team with the lowest cumulative win time, the Gigabyte Marines. That means the first tiebreaker game will be between Immortals and Fnatic, with the winner going up against the Gigabyte Marines to determine the second quarterfinalist from Group B. Because Fnatic have a lower cumulative win time than Immortals, they will have side selection for the first game. All right, they've chosen blue. That's what we know. Before we get to those tiebreaker matches, let's talk about this Longzhu squad. 6-0, undefeated group stage, the #1 seed out of Korea, continue to impress. This time around, sub-top laner.
Sure.
They still get the win.
Yeah, and this was actually the hardest day for Longzhu. There were quite some tough games for them where they went really long, but that's kind of the thing about Longzhu. They're showing they don't need to snowball early game to win. Like, they can play full late game. They have the best AD carry in the world, proven in this game as well, and it's just fun to watch them play.
And while this was a long game, it never really felt super, super close in the actual team fights. Like, you were talking about the Janna a lot. It felt like Prey was largely unthreatened. It felt like he had access to do whatever he wanted to do. And Immortals really was struggling, even with full builds in late game.
Yeah, exactly. And then the drive you see on your screen here, I think there were some mistakes from Immortals, things I would have seen different. First pick, Lulu. I'm not a fan of that. Most teams are going for first pick Janna now. It just makes you much stronger in the late game, where Janna outscales. And then I also think in the second phase, where they're banning away the Syndra and the Trundle, banning Syndra against BDD doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Ban Talia, ban Galio. You then have a sick late game with Janna, and you have, no Talia dealing,
I mean, at
serious
Worlds,
damage to you.
coming into the day, Janna was at an 80% win rate, right? I mean, you compare that to coming into the day, actually, Lulu was sitting at 37.9. It seems almost as like the clearest decision you could ever make.
I mean, Janna's just so good against tanks. That's the biggest thing to me, is that when tanks are in the meta, when you have these binary champions like Shen and like Gragas and Cho'Gath and even, the Jarvan, Janna denies pretty much everything you want to do. You're relatively low sustained damage, the shields are shutting you down. When you try to come forward, you can get denied by the tornado, the ultimate can push you back out of the fight, and it just keeps someone like the Varus so free to be getting those auto attacks off.
She's just the best defensive support
out there right now.
By far.
By far.
Yeah, when we were looking at these compositions, though, admittedly, we looked at Immortals team comp and we said, hey, if this does get to full 6 items, they should be able to stack up. Then it is about who can play better within the 5v5
To be fair,
composition.
it felt like Cody Sun on Tristana does less damage than anybody else on Tristana.
Let's take a look. Game-deciding Baron fight here for Longzhu. We're going to roll it out.
Okay.
Of course, they get the pick on
So
Xfinity to start it off.
this one, note the minimap because Cody Sun is pushing mid, and this is where Immortals is threatening to steal a Baron because Longzhu just pulled off away from it. And here, Cody Sun should stay pushing mid. You have a Cho'Gath. He can threaten the steal. He has flash, and I felt like this was the opportunity for Immortals to go with a split shot call where you push mid, you spare. Because look at that, he could have
That's
done that a
close.
little bit later, and this could have been, you get the Baron, you get the inhibitor, you win the game.
That being said, they choose the fight, and I think even within the fight, it's still looking okay for Immortals.
Still
Cody
here.
still has his flash, and that is the key moment. You need to actually flash that Jarvan engage and the taunt follow-up, because at that point, none of the remaining Longzhu members had flash available, so if they use their gap closers, you can maybe kite that out and make something happen.
I think taking the fight here with Tristana is the correct call.
Okay.
There is no way Cho'Gath ever gets in range to try and steal it if Cody Sun is not there as well, because then all Longzhu will do is they will just peel off the Baron, hard engage with Shen Jarvan, take a kill on Cho'Gath, and then just go back to the Baron.
Are you comfortable just making the trade, though, inhib for Baron?
So, I actually disagree with that because if Cho with flash, he can still threaten from the back. Who is going to peel off and actually threaten from that backside?
They just, no matter what, Longzhu will not let the Baron go down so low. They will just jump the Cho'Gath and know there's no risk of losing a fight and kill the Cho'Gath and go back to Baron.
What I love about this, though, this is a perfect example of the decision that Immortals had to make.
Yeah,
the thought
it's
process
exactly.
that I'm sure all of
In
them went
half
through.
a second.
And then you have to realize that,
We've had some time. We've had some time.
we took 30 minutes and then 2 minutes
And
here
still
to
don't
discuss
agree.
it, and we still don't agree. So it very clearly illustrates what Immortals was up against here in terms of those split-second decisions and why it is they ultimately fell to Longzhu. What I want to do now is kind of refocus for Immortals. It was meant 0-3 on the day. This is not how you wanted to do it. You came in knowing that you only had to do so little to move on, and now you're stuck in a tie-break scenario where you got to win 2 back-to-back.
I would say for Immortals, if they can repeat this sort of a performance against Gigabyte Marines, against Fnatic, I think you win both those games. They need to play a patient game. They need to play a more measured game. I think that they did show a relatively strong performance here, and that's all that's required to beat these other teams, because in general, the 3 teams beside Longzhu have shown that they're extremely inconsistent. So as long as you can have the basics down, I think you're good.
It's all that's required, but this is basically a super week on steroids. That's 4 games.
Yep.
That's 5 games in a row that you've already lost 3
Maybe they're on
back
tilt.
to back. So it takes a tremendous mental resilience for them to bounce back and make it out of.
And at this point, just pure stamina, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you've been awake, you've been focused for so long, you've got to keep it going and play at the top of your game. Coming up next, we'll have our first tiebreaker game between Fnatic and Immortals. Meet us back here right after this.
Clovelta, he's trying to run up with the knockup blade, and Roscoe not going to grab it. It's Cuz with first blood.
Flash, flash.
Focus Chana. Okay. Now Varus. Yeah, Varus after. Nice. And Immortals is still trying to do it. A busted shot splits the fight him again as Cuz dives into the carries to try and get something happen. A big silence there is Flame on a rampage, takes out the jungler.
천천히.
잠깐만, 나 죽은 싸움?
이겼어.
나 죽은 싸움이야?
이긴 거 같은데?
Clovelta signed off by BDD as Flame is trying to tank as best he can, but Rascal just so much help to work with his prey. He's gonna find himself with a double kill. Unstoppable as he takes down the Corki. Immortal just can't do anything as Cuz will go down to a Labor Smithy. He'll burn down next. Prey got himself a triple kill. Longzhu and the storm that swept through Group B.
first tiebreaker game between Europe's Fnatic and the NALCS's Immortals. Now, Fnatic have managed to bounce back from a winless week 1, while Immortals have gone 0-3 today. The winner of this game will, of course, advance to play against the Gigabyte Marines. The winner of that moves on to the quarterfinals. Lastly, important to note, nobody has ever qualified for quarterfinals after starting the tournament 0-3 in week 1. So I'm going to put you guys on the spot as we're coming down to the wire. Who's going to take a shot at the GPL champions? Who's going to win this game? Deficio, let's start with you.
So we all know this is going to be like a 50-50. Like we've seen 2 games between the teams.
All right, so you know what? Let's just flip a coin. We don't need them to play.
At this point, you almost could do that because it's so hard to predict which team actually makes the least mistakes when they're facing each other. I will, however, go with Fnatic. I'm afraid that the European fans will hate me if I'm jinxing them now. However, I value Reckless over Cody Sun in these late game fights, and I think it will come down to the big late game fights, and Reckless will be the big carry to win.
Looking at the 80 carries, looking at those individual performances, Crumbs, which side of the fence are you on?
I'm taking Fnatic as well. Because...
My man!
There you go.
Woo!
We're countering the jinx.
All right, tell me why.
Because I actually think Azael's point about the mental resilience here is quite relevant. Losing 3 games in a row, and specifically for Cody Sun, I just don't see how when the meta relies on the AD carry to be stepping up to the plate, for him to actually deliver, that just has not been happening today at all. And Reckless has been showing up, and so I think that that difference in bottom lane is going to be enough to put Fnatic over the...
These guys are they're investing in the hot streak that Fnatic is on. What about you, Azael?
I still have some faith in Immortals. I think history will repeat itself. The 0-3 team will not get out of group here, and I think the reason
I thought it was the 0-10 NA thing.
That will not repeat itself. Let's not go there, okay?
That's still possible.
That remains to be seen, Deficio, but I still have some faith in the solo laners here for Immortals. I think that Flame in particular has been having a very good tournament, and I don't think that we'll see Fnatic be able to match them in the top lane.
All right, well, there you have it. We got a split desk. Enough from us. Let's hand it over to Pastry, Vedius, and Kobe to get us into the games.
Thank you, Dash, and if you're just joining us here for World's 2017 group stage coverage, it is time for bonus games, Vedius.
It's NA versus EU, my fine gentlemen friends, and it feels like that the desk is slightly favoring Europe right now. I'm fascinated as to whether or not that momentum swing will be good enough for Fnatic to take the win, or if Immortals will be the team to get that clutch victory.
Yeah, it has been a very long day for Immortals. Started out in game number 1, and they've had losses back to back to back for themselves. So you do have to wonder about how they're going to regroup. That being said, their last game versus Longzhu did seem like their best played game overall. There were still mistakes definitely there, but it seems like that one had some improvements in it.
And I think for me, on both of these sides, the games they've split already in the group stage have been insane. Reckless, just barely giving away the game, making a mistake on Twitch in the very late game, and then a base race effectively that Immortals almost defended to try and maybe take the game away, but instead we have 3 teams at 2 and 4. We have these 2 up first, and if the first 2 games are any indicator, this is going to be a doozy.
I think that the emphasis will be on the 2 AD carries. We saw how Cody Sun really struggled in a lot of those late game fights, and how Reckless, he is one of the big carries, the one that Fnatic has been playing a lot around. So can Cody Sun step up to the plate and match the power level that Reckless has been able to demonstrate? Or will Reckless crack under the pressure? Will Soaz be able to deal with a team that may look to try and invest resources into shutting him down? So many options on either side.
It's times like these that teams really do need to call on the veteran status here. Soaz and Reckless have been playing for so long and have been to international big stages so many times that that's definitely going to be a valuable resource. Meanwhile, Pobelter on your screen doesn't seem too phased, and it would mean so much for Immortals as one of the newer organizations of the North American LCS. You know, they've already had unprecedented success for a new organization, you know, in the NALCS, but for them to also be able to get out of groups would be so big for them. And this isn't even for getting out of groups. This is just for a chance, a crack at the Marines. So whichever team even does come out ahead on this one still has a lot of work ahead of them.
But someone's world ends now. There's one game
Gotta
left.
focus on the crybabies.
So I'm excited to see who makes it out, win or lose. I think we're going to have an exciting game.
I think, again, you have to look at both these teams for something that the opposite of the veterancy here between the two. There are world rookies playing on both these teams, and I believe also actual rookies playing on one of the sides as well. So experiences, unfortunately for these teams, coupled with inexperience. And I love tiebreakers because you are truly tested when pushed to your limit in League of Legends. And this will be, like Fedia said, one of these teams' final tests.
So here we go. We're jumping into the final draft for one of these teams. Focus already from Fnatic onto Smithy. He has been a pretty consistent performer throughout the tournament, but I feel like that his impact has not been as impactful as it was during the regular season of the LCS. I feel like looking at players like Flame, like Olay, who have been big playmakers, are really the core part of Immortal's success so far at Worlds.
To me, it looks like Fnatic are just trying to funnel Smithy onto that Ezreal jungle. They've seen him play it before, and it looks like they want him on one of those squishier champions to try and actually take advantage. Smithy, though, he does have other options. He's also played the Rek'Sai, even though we've seen Broxa on that. Smithy very well could steal that one away, because I don't think you want to use your first pick on jungle, even with all the bans used on it.
And this is interesting. Oh, all right. So there's a Xayah ban for Immortals, and Jana picked up with Rakan and Lulu available.
They're daring Olay to take the Rakan. That's one of the champions that we've talked about for this team especially. Olay was such a big part of their initiations in the regular season, and the Ardent Sensor move has kind of taken him away from that role. We've seen him look a little bit uncomfortable, flashing forward on Lulu and Glitter Lances not really having huge impacts. But here we go. Immortals actually start taking away from Reckless instead of the support role.
Now, when you think about the AD carries that are left up, Tristana is available. There's the hover of the jungle Ezreal that you were talking about. But I feel that this... so many things to talk about. Really good steal from Immortals, but now Fnatic likely just going to go onto the Tristana. There's the potential for that late game scaling advantage that we saw when you think back to RNG versus G2, and Cody Sun could become this insane late game threat. And what Immortals were probably hoping for was if they saw the Ezreal, then they could go for something like the Lee Sin, one of Brox's most popular champions back when he first joined, but instead they're going for Rek'Sai, which is what he's brought out so far throughout this tournament.
Very simple but effective picks here for Fnatic. Rek'Sai, Trist, and Jana, as Ezreal does get locked in on the Immortals side. So I have to think we're waving bye-bye to Rakan at this point. I do not think Olay will be granted that champion, given how high pressure this game is. But Immortals, what's their focus for this first ban?
Yeah, because they're looking fairly squishy at the moment. And I think that Fnatic, especially seeing how quickly they're locking these champions, this is going according to plan for them. They were definitely expecting, like we talked about, to try and funnel Smithy into this Ezreal pick. And now the mid lane bans come through. What is it going to be? Immortals will be able to have the first pick after the second bans do timeout.
Now, I feel like Immortals don't have to ban away Syndra. They could actually pick it away from Fnatic. We know that it's been a big comfort. Oh, my apologies. Yeah, you're right. I did miss the Syndra ban from earlier on. More focus going to be down onto the mid lane. Corki still available. Rise, another big pick. Pobelter could look to go that way, especially with the LeBlanc and the Cassio both already banned out.
Well, certainly curious selection so far. As LeBlanc banned by IMT, taking that away from Caps.
Rise and Corki. Who's going to be traded over here?
Because, yeah, if you ban the Rise, they insta-lock Corki, and then you're kind of limited on your options.
And the thing is, Immortals' composition with Corki on it looks terrible. That is a very, very squishy, all backline. They would have to secure some sort of front line in the top lane for Flame, but it definitely would look extremely risky, especially into what Fnatic are showing already. So the Jace ban comes through, and they're willing to trade them.
Now remember, Nah and Trundle are the two top lane champions that we have seen come out from various top lanes throughout groups, and they could be a good answer to whatever tank Soaz is likely to be put on. Cho'Gath would be fine in terms of frontline, but they could also go for the Maokai that he's brought out of Faramir.
I think a big key here, too, is crowd control, crowd control,
Oh!
The Malzahar is actually good into Rise. Oh, goodness. And that is going to give them even more crowd control. Let's see what Fnatic are going to round it out with.
And I love Malzahar. Like, there was a recent change to him in his ability to shred through tanks, because now his ultimate became flat damage. The amount of percentage health damage that he does dramatically decreases. And while he used to be a tank killer, now he's just great at locking down these really mobile targets. And when you already have a lot of CC in your composition with things like the Cho'Gath and the Janna, it just becomes great setup or pick potential that Fnatic can look to take advantage of.
Yeah, and a big theory here is, the range at which Rise likes to work with. Malzahar can just put down the Voidlings and ult up with the rest of the people, team sitting around, that they could try and take him there. Again, though, if they do go with this Trundle, that would be split push commitment here from Immortals. They are running fairly light on crowd control, and that means you're going to have good map movements, good side wave control in order to get your advantages, because you can't simply say, hey, it's time to force, and then have an easy force. That being said, Trundle Pillar has always been good in poke compositions, and it could combine well with, Ezreal.
And with the composition that Immortals have drafted, Ezreal really good at setting up early leads, and we've seen Xmithie do it. But think back to their game against Longju last week, where they just kept camping bottom lane. All he now needs to do is the same thing up top. Get Flame ahead in the early game. Start to put the pressure on Soaz. Become the split push threat that Fnatic have no answer for.
And Xmithie is all year long been a gank-happy, very aggressive jungler in the NALCS, so makes sense that he's taking the more aggressive pick here in Ezreal, but Immortals' composition feels very difficult to execute properly. Fnatic maybe a little more straightforward.
Now, the last time we saw Caps play Malzahar was during the spring split of the regular season back in February, a long time ago since he picked up the champion, but clearly he's kept it in his wheelhouse, and now he's going to bring it out when Europe needs it the most.
I love me some Caps, I have to say. A bunch of unique picks. It's the kind of player that was so well regarded in Europe, despite being a rookie entering the league this season. And like you said, at a final time, pulling out something like this, it's not Aurelion Sol, but instead it's Malzahar.
And it's going to be the little things that I'm looking for in this matchup. Is he going to be able to spawn Voidlings to block the Rise Qs and kind of make it difficult for Pobelter to get out that damage? Or will the pressure crack? Because Immortals, like you guys are talking about, it's a fairly flimsy composition, and they do kind of need to get rolling early for it to take effect. Meanwhile, Fnatic here look pretty confident.
Their scaling is good, though. The Twitch is something you always have to respect, and something that we've seen a lot of with Immortal games is they go long. The reason why they did not get choice of side selection, the reason why they're here, is because they do have the longest game time in terms of their wins out of all of the teams participating in this three-way tie. So, Immortals can rely on that late game insurance, but it needs Cody Sun to step up.
Well, there's a lot on the line for our competitors at Worlds, and you can help raise the stakes with 25% of the proceeds from Championship, Ash, and World Skins being added to the prize pool, while another 25% will be donated to charity. But with that, it's time to move out into our first of two tiebreakers this evening. Gentlemen, I should be so lucky to have you here with me for this game number one.
You're welcome. Patient
You're
time.
welcome.
And look, if the stakes were high in the last game, they're even higher now.
All right, this is definitely a must-win game for both teams, goes without saying. Now, one of the things with Ezreal, okay, he gets in with a Rupture as we start this off.
Silence.
Ooh.
And they will get the flash away from Xmithie, but it looks like the action's not over yet.
Yeah, looks like a bit more happening here as Cap's going to get knocked back up. The level 1 fight looking good.
We start the tiebreaker game off with a level 1 5-on-5 fight. Couple of flashes are blown here, and it is going to be the Ezreal, but we already saw even on Ezreal, if your flash is blown, still can go for those invades. Just makes it more risky.
Caps, he was chunked out pretty low. I believe he's already been forced to use one of his health pots, so Pobelter will have that advantage over him. And the important thing to note about this matchup is Malzahar's early wave clear is very weak, and that will give a bit of pressure over to Pobelter.
Yeah, I mean, if you take your hand in this champion and haven't played it in a while, the CSing especially
It's really
is
hard.
definitely frustrating early on before you get some extra levels into your skills. So oftentimes, even at the pro level, we see the Malzahar players getting a little bit behind in CS early on. Pobelter actually doing a good job here, trying to push the wave in and make it more difficult for him.
Now he's likely going to max his Malefic Vision, his E, and once he gets around level 7, that's where the laning phase gets easier. But we got to talk about this top lane.
What did we say? Xmithie going top early. Flame already in combat. Xmithie coming up.
Also
Goes for the trade, level 2 Ezreal.
Great rupture there from Solas with the pillar. He's going to force the flash out. Tagged already by the red buff. Xmithie still going Flame. Flashes forward and Immortals going to grab first blood.
Smithy's going to take that one. Here comes Broxa, but they didn't actually sustain any damage, so don't know what he's going to try and get done here. Maybe a counter jungle or maybe a little bit of warding done. Smithy's actually recalling with that gold, so Broxa could go mid if he wraps around.
Now TP has come back up top. Ezreal's come back to base, so he's not going to try and go for that repeat gang. But this is exactly what we were talking about. Early investment topside, get Flame ahead, start putting that mental pressure down onto Soaz, try and put him in a situation where he starts to fall behind and doesn't know how to come back.
All right, we get a replay here, but you don't need too many replays to check out level 2 Ezreal ganks. They've been very, very common, and he just arcane shifts in with the red buff, playing the slow. That gives Flame the confidence to flash forward, landing extra slow there in the meantime with the chomp, and in the end, since the regeneration was coming through, Smithy decided to take that kill, the last auto.
Well, it looks like going according to plan early on here for Immortals, but Broxah did stick around in the jungle for quite a while. A pretty heavy counter jungle here in Smithy. He's actually back on the bot side of the map, so maybe something more brewing.
Yeah, after the early investment, Flame should have it communicated here as well that he needs to play fairly safe at the turret. He doesn't want to overextend. Fnatic, remember the success previously was all those visits from Broxah to get Soaz snowballing on that Cho'Gath. And this time around, it's going to be imperative for Immortals that they don't let that happen. Meanwhile, Smithy's bottom side, he still has his red buff.
Jess is at it again. Looks like Jess could be the target, but jumps on a Reckless. They're going to try and apply the red buff, does land, and forces the flash.
Fnatic, they're struggling in the early game right now. Xmithy doing exactly what he did against Longzhu, but spreading his pressure all across the map, getting a kill up top, forcing the flash down bot, and now he needs to maintain this pressure. Remember this composition, yes, it does have a good late game, but it's also very squishy, and being able to have these early leads, have that advantage over your opposition, is a great way to start off this game.
Definitely true. And remember with the Ezreal, he actually waits around and the Raptors spawn right in front of him. So Smithy with a secondary Raptor take here. Even though Ezreal doesn't love the Raptor camp early on, it's not that big of an issue. And especially since the sides have been split here, so it's kind of a necessary take for him to keep pace with Broxah. As Broxah now, after Scuttle Crab, can make a visit towards Poe Belter.
Yeah, it looks like he pretty massively hates it. Actually took so much damage trying to kill the Raptors, but does secure it at least and keep up and even in jungle experience. Again, given how much ganking he has done early on in this game, it's important for him to keep pace. And Poe Belter also still slightly ahead in this mid lane matchup. Did get off a recall to match Caps, and now has that tier charging up early. Poe Belter actually back in, but bit of trade damage.
Yeah, Caps is able to get the Voidlings off, but even with the Voidling blocking the second Q there, still decent damage dealt by Poe Belter in the trade. Meanwhile, a lot of vision below the mid lane here for Immortals. They've got Control Ward down here, and there's even some deep, Immortals, that's what I was saying. That is just here cleared out by Jezzes, but it does see the roam towards mid.
And I think Immortals are respecting the fact that Fnatic have this tendency to play around the bottom side of the map. They want to make sure that their Twitch does have a happy laning phase, and right now Cody Sun does have that pretty significant CS advantage, which is something that is much easier to ascertain when you're being paired up with that Lulu. So both AD carries going fairly even, and what you really want to be seeing from Reckless is putting that Twitch under pressure. You want to try and punish that early laning phase, which, if you can't, is going to be great for Immortals come the mid-game 2-item spike.
Pretty funny for me to see Cody Sun actually doing the Reckless against Reckless. Daggers everywhere in the bot lane. 5 total. 2 versus 3 for Fnatic and IMT's ADs respectively. As we said, expecting some early Zeal items, wanting to get more of that wave clear and scale up, so certainly makes sense. Broxah in the meantime poking into mid lane from the top, but instead walking back to the jungle.
Keep your eyes on the teleports as well, because Soaz is about to return where his Flame recently used his. This could mean that Fnatic could try to make some kind of play happen down bot around the dragon. It is an early Cloud Drake, but being able to get that early advantage and start the Reckless Snowball could be a great way for Fnatic to play.
And they just saw Smithy down bottom side, so Fnatic know they have numbers on top side. Flame definitely going to be the target. And there's no teleport from Poe Belter this game around, so he is 1v3.
Caps goes in, he's got the level 6, he flashes early with the flash and bar from Broxah is there. Caps, he's going to try and get himself a kill with the subs into the suppression. Caps, wonderful roam, gives Soaz a kill.
Nice execution there from Fnatic, able to pull off the play. And with Immortals overloading on the bottom side for Fnatic just bails. They recall completely, and it's going to have to be Smithy trying to answer with something else.
Now Poe Belter will get a decent amount of damage down onto the middle lane. Ooh, good ultimate there from Xmithy to try and keep that top tower alive. But you do have the Voidlings, and it's past 5 minutes, so that top tower dies extremely quickly.
Yeah, they're in the race here, and even with the red buff Ezreal, here come Reckless and Jezus to defend the turret and try and delay. The first turret bonus probably going to be Fnatic.
Looks like that's the case. Soaz gonna get the last hit and split a good chunk of gold between him and his mid laner. Immortals do answer, but the bonus gold went to Fnatic.
Question is, they're not actually even transitioning into the Drake. People who don't care about the Cloud Drake enough. Here's a good charge here from Fnatic. Remember, they saw Smithy down bottom, so they know this is a simple dive to pull off. Since Belter doesn't have teleport, there's no possible reinforcements. So they're all just going to blow flashes, jump right in there. Soaz is happy to tank the turret. He didn't even get much damage contributed to it. So
and he took the kill too.
Yeah.
He was just like right at the end. Hey, I tried this tower. I have to take some of the credit here. So he's now sitting at 1-1-0.
Didn't get much damage, but it was the damage that mattered.
It did exactly that. Now Caps, he's going to be happy returning to mid lane, playing around top side rather than bot. A slight shift from Fnatic, but definitely one that works them pretty well up against the Gigabyte Marines. And now Xmithy, he's looking to try and continue that early pressure. Now level 6, just want to utilize the ultimate up top. Let's see what else he can do on the map.
Remember, Soaz also teleport advantage after this, so they still have to be a bit cautious on bottom side, even though the Fnatic tower is down. That's why kind of Reckless and Jezz are just pushing in on the turret here, making use of the Tristana explosive shot. They know they actually have top laner advantage if Soaz could back up far enough that it wouldn't be interrupted by a pillar.
I do like this vision though from Immortals. They put it just into
He's backing off
the river. They're looking for a play.
Oh, Cody gets knocked out by a tornado. Might take a little too much damage. Reckless with a buster shot forces the barrier out of Cody.
You can tell they're setting up for it as Soaz on your mini-map, backed all the way off to his turret there. That's kind of the indicator for the possibility of one of those plays being set up. And that was very close to being a 5-man bottom with Caps rotating over, but the defense is there for the meantime.
Now, look in the middle lane, because Caps, he's reached the level 8 mark. We talked about how level 7 is where things get a lot easier for Caps because he has so many points in his E. Now that he's got an extra point in his Q as well, that wave clear becomes impossible for Belter to deal with, so he's the one that's always forced under his tower, and Caps will have priority on the roams. He will have more windows available. Just look at how he's going to clear out this minion wave, and then he's going to move into the jungle, and Immortals always have to respect when Caps could show up.
Goes back as well, so Caps could make it 2 for 2 on successful roams here in this game. Just a little too much work from all the dots there from Malzahar, and Caps again jukes out of vision. Rebel's going to try and keep tracking him, gets a control ward down onto the left side of mid, but Immortals being forced kind of fell back here in these lanes. Flame still salvaging his top lane, although he does now have the teleport back up. We're really just looking for kind of that first big point of tension. Cody has gone back, has his rune-ins to get things farming, but Reckless probably doing the flat AD BF sword pickaxe into his own kind of farming wave clear item. So things may continue to be a bit slower here, up towards the 20-minute mark.
He doesn't need boots. He's got a Janna. As long as he's just running after her, making sure that Jezz is always in front of him, he's going to be gliding like a plane.
That's like saying you don't need attack damage because he's got a Janna. She'll give you a shield. You don't
That's
need
true.
health because you have a Janna. She'll give you
all those
she'll
things.
give you everything.
I think it's funny because I was going to say Fnatic loved to prioritize Reckless in the draft. I'm sure the general like, oh, that's interesting. But realistically, that is prioritizing Reckless in the draft.
It's honestly why she's so good right now. She does give so many different stats like that. Here goes Immortal starting up the Cloud Drake though, and that will give them even more boost speed, at least out of combat. Brooks are going to try and answer with the Rift Herald over here. Should be easy for him, as Soaz could just mosey on down if they needed any extra support with the Cho'Gath.
Now it looks like Soaz is working towards that righteous glory, so Fnatic have that engage option. And we got to think about that because when you look at both sides, it's not actually a lot of engage. You don't think of something like the Gragas, like the Sejuani. They were all banned out, so you're going to have to rely on Soaz flanks. You're going to have to rely on good pillars from Flame, and there's just going to be a lot of kiting and back and forth and just individuals either being out of position and relying on big objectives to force these fights.
That's why we keep talking about how difficult this composition for Immortals would be to pull off. They have to play around disengaging, throwing up these pillars. Right now they're going for Caps though.
Cody sneaking in, Pybelta flushes in, look for the root. Oh, that passive!
It stays on a bit longer there, and he's able to block that CC, so flash from Belter gets nothing.
Trade of summoner spells in the middle lane. Neither mid have them available now. Cody Sun tries to make a play in mid, and that gives a window for Reckless and Jezz to push up bot, and they could get a fair amount of damage onto that tower.
One of the reasons why you really like that champion, extra spell shield comes in super handy when people are trying to initiate on you.
This is a Fnatic rush. This is the sneak in the brush, sit and wait for the enemy team to overextend, but Immortals, they're going to go back themselves, assuming that Reckless and Jezz have already gone back.
It's an interesting term how it's evolved to, people just say any
If they're in the brush,
is a Fnatic brush if they're in it, but originally I remember it being this one super far up by the secondary turret in the side lane. That was the original Fnatic rush from like 6 years ago.
Yeah, back when they used to run the double TP Lissandra top kind of days. So definitely been taken slightly out of context, but I had 2 Fnatic members in a brush. I'm going to call it that.
Soaz was on that team when they were doing it.
The game's history. I mean, we have 2 teams that have never been to Worlds before in this set of tiebreakers, and Fnatic, the veterans here, trying to continue an incredible run of form here in week 2.
And many European fans thought the Fnatic would be the first seed coming into Worlds. They had an 11-2 record during the regular season. They had extremely high expectations, and then they were upset during playoffs. They had to fight their way through the gauntlet. And for Immortals, it was a bit of a surprise because they had Smithy join the roster. Expectations were fairly low, and then they had a very impressive season.
Yeah, the reason expectations were fairly low is because of their spring split performance, but they completely turned it around. Smithy coming in. Also, should be talked about is Song and the coaching that really helped out Immortals as far as their decisiveness. But right now, the Rifthound is making quick work.
You can feel the weight of a tiebreaker game on these 2 teams.
I'm fascinated by how many of these fights will actually start because, we talked about the engages earlier on, but right now I think both teams are pretty happy to skip. Malzahar's not exactly a weak late game champion. He used to be much stronger with his percentage health damage, but now Immortal's looking for a pick.
Codyson looking for something here, but Pobelta could be the first pick off. Cap lands the ultimate rip. Bruxa lines up the knockup there, and silent 2-death. Cap nails the kill.
Extremely easy setup for the Caps. Pobelta couldn't do anything because he had no. Get the Fnatic mid laner his first kill of the game.
Pobelta had his eyes on bottom lane there, trying to run down to the play. But again, like we emphasized in Champion Select, it's so much easier when you have these crowd control abilities at your disposal. Very easy for just point and click there. Nice chain from Caps and Broxa to get that kill.
And after Pobelta's death, Codyson had to move up to mid to clear out the wave. And that's going to give a window for Fnatic to get this bot tower as Codyson comes up mid step.
No ulti, but he actually jukes the tornado. Reckless maybe overstays his welcome. Cody wants it. Will not flash forward. Nice silence from Caps to cover the aggression.
Love the play there from Cody. Keeps his tower alive. Doesn't allow Fnatic to snowball the gold lead any further. While it is slightly in the European squad's favor, this is how they were able to build that slight lead.
Yeah, Pobelta had his eyes on bottom lane and no vision of this ledge over here. So Caps and Broxa, as we said, easily able to just jump right over, secure themselves some extra gold.
Silence is a mage's worst enemy. The inability to do anything, because your basic attacks don't do much. Like, you're entirely reliant on your spells, and if you don't have them available, you end up just getting locked out.
Suppression, knockup, those are also pretty annoying to deal with, and 100% to 0 is rough life.
Yeah. Fortunately for Pobelta, no available counterplay in that situation. And Immortal
QSS. QSS is how you got it.
That situation.
Yeah, you're correct.
Yes. And that is actually something worth highlighting. We haven't seen Malzahar in quite a while. He was a support for a long time when he was kind of in vogue, but you do need to get out of the pressure, and the only way you could do that is with a QSS, which feels real awkward for Rise.
It's one of those debates where, by having a Malzahar in the game, you can force your opponent into building a QSS. Yes, that's great, but in the late game, when 4 out of the 5 members all have QSSs, now Malzahar doesn't really have a target that he can focus down on, and his ultimate becomes less and less reliable as the game progresses.
But then, all these, mages and stuff are using an item slot on something that can only be upgraded for attack damage. Uh-oh.
Gonna help the silence problem with the BM sword behind the Mercurial Scimitars. Looks like teams are lined up for this Infernal Drake. Fnatic, though, first to the play.
Yeah, looks like they're going to be able to get this one. Infernal Drake right down, and they teleport in behind him.
In for the pillar, actually, from Flame tries to knock out Cap. So solid. He wants more for his team. Righteous Glory in. Silence on the Codyson. He jukes away from the Rupture, but is forced to flash the wall. Reckless rocket jumps towards IMT, and no kills are forthcoming.
Gonna be able to hold on to this one as well for Fnatic. Infernal Drake picked up. They also blew the flash on as well. Olay Cody Sun, so the back line definitely very vulnerable for Immortals right now. And remember, the only kind of defense they have in the front line is these pillars going up to try and kite around, but it's going to be very difficult with all the things that Fnatic are trying to throw at them.
The thing is, though, we've been looking so much at the bottom lane that we have not been paying attention to Flame, who's been quietly farming up in the top lane. 30 CS advantage now onto Soaz. He's building himself up into this pretty threatening split pusher later into the game.
Well, he's going to have to get started quickly.
Gonna have to maybe make a trade. Fnatic take the bottom out of Flame. Is going to try and equalize here. Should be able to chomp this one down. Soaz will not make it in time with the wave. More than enough for Flame here. And this is a pretty good picture of what the game is going to look like as it develops. Flame is going to want to have as much side lane time as he can, and Fnatic are just going to try and force.
Exactly that. They're going to try and force Immortals to group up as a 5-man, whereas Immortals are trying to separate Fnatic and keep them in their individual side lanes. Send Pobelter down bot, keep Flame up top, play this 1-3-1 style, and make sure that Caps is separated from the rest of his team so that they can use Cody Sun to try and find these picks around the map. Immortals and Fnatic both have ways they want to play, but it's all about who can get that vision down and be the first one to set up for objectives to then force their way of playing.
Well, again, the game develops as we hit almost 20 minutes. QSS now done for Pobelter, but we'll check in back with the bot laners. There's 2 items done for Reckless. Very close in goal between the 2 marksmen, but Cody is a little further away. Part thanks to his boots to purchase, but not too far away from finishing his second major item, of course, being the Infinity Edge as well. So we're getting team fight ready if the teams want to have some sort of a scuffle, but again, the pace of this game, very deliberate, certainly echoes the stakes in this match.
Top lane, Soaz was waiting in a brush, and now he's charging at Cody Sun.
Oh no, Rupture is going to land the wild grip, maybe not enough, the execute from Rupture not there, but the feast not need a Broxer grabs the kill, and now Cap in onto Olay, look at the silence him, that's so much damage from this Malzahar, the shield, not there, Cap snipes Olay with a Q.
Fnatic able to take advantage here, they kill off that bottom lane without flashes, and they're around Baron now.
Remember, the play that Fnatic tried to force earlier, force both those Summoner spells. Smite is available for Xmithy. He is in the vicinity, and I don't think he wants to give this one away for free.
15 seconds to feast on Soaz. Pobelter trying to shove down mid, but Caps will match him. This should be Baron going over to Fnatic. Immortals do not contest.
It's just so dangerous for Immortals. Fnatic have all of this CC. They're waiting, by the way, for Baron buff so that the respawn... Actually,
I think they just wanted to give a show a feast stack.
Okay, the cooldown on his ultimate. I was oh, maybe they're waiting for someone to revive. Wait, no one died on their team.
Yeah, we can see exactly how Fnatic were able to make this play. They saw Cody Sun trying to catch the wave. They knew he had no flash. So as rushing the righteous score, he allowed them to get the collapse. And unfortunately for Ole, he couldn't provide enough return.
And this is the reason why we talked about with the outer turrets going down for Immortals. It's such a dangerous game. They're the team that has to run away, has to kite, and Fnatic are the ones with the more options because they have all of these tools to pick people off. Really good use there for Fnatic to capitalize. They actually got both of the kills off of that, and a very, very good Baron for them to push up bottom side now.
And again, as Fnatic kind of move as a 5-man unit, sieging with this Baron buff, Caps has had an incredible game so far. 2-0-1 on the Malzahar. Didn't even use his ultimate to kill Ole. Was so confident in his play, but now he lets the rip in onto Flame. Big silence here is also Tornado's also going to wombo combo it in. But Cody unleashes his ultimate on the other side, but Fnatic not deterred, will keep sieging.
Fnatic, they get a lot of damage down onto Flame, but he's being forced to group. Remember that Immortals want to keep Fnatic apart. Their true strength comes when they're a 5-man unit, and they can utilize the item spikes that they've now picked up for themselves.
Flame's going back to the fountain right now, so there is a small window for Fnatic to push in and try and bully this turret down. Looks like they'll take that and just break the window.
IMT conceded the objective. Figure it's not worth fighting over that tier 2, but now round 2 is Fnatic. Still got 2 minutes left with his Baron.
Feel very confident to continue this siege. Immortals, they have no answer. Remember, they have no engage, and Fnatic are just walking into their base.
Exactly. No front line here. The ultimate was already used from Flame when he got Mal's ultimate. So there you go. Nice inhibitor for Fnatic, and they are going to be very happy with those rewards. So quick and easy for them to take afterwards. Baron recall will let them spend all the cash as well.
And you have to go back to the draft. Remember how many jungle bans we saw coming out from Fnatic. There was the Jarvan, the Sejuani, the Gragas. So many engage options were taken off of Xmithie. And coming into World's group stages, I felt like Xmithie and Ole were two of the key initiators for this squad. They were the people that you relied on to start the fights. You take them off that, and you can see Immortals are really struggling in this mid-game point.
Well, we've already talked about, again, the stakes of this match, but there's also something else potentially on the line. No team at Worlds has ever qualified after going 0-3 in week 1, and no team at Worlds has ever qualified after going 0-3 in week 2. So there is the chance Fnatic or Immortals to do something that has never been done at Worlds, but that will come, if at all, in our next match. As right now, Fnatic are firmly in the driver's seat.
And the problem with a split push comp when you're this far behind is that your 4-man squad can't even slow down the other 5-man squad that's coming to take down your turrets. And Fnatic could even threaten tower dive while Flame is pushing on the side lane. You see, Flame couldn't even push more than one wave there in the time it took Fnatic to take a turret. Always forced back to base, and they're just going to have to hope for some big outplays.
Now there's 20 seconds left on the Baron. Fnatic, they will run that buff out, but they still feel confident enough to keep the push on. They're going to extend their vision deeper, steal away some of these camps, but they're not afraid of Immortals when there is no threat of engage coming out from the North American squad.
And if anyone from Immortals puts a toe out of line with maybe the exception of Provelta, Captain's ulti will just lock them down. That's Cody! Way too far forward the Walker! Not nearly enough, but the barrier will actually save him. So taking the top for maybe a little too long, but they still bust through the top lane.
No one from Immortals can step up here, and they're just waiting around to watch the inhibitor die.
Fnatic feeling good. They get themselves their second inhibitor of the game 24 minutes in. This is such a different performance from what we've seen throughout the entire group stages. Fnatic and Immortals have had such nail-biter games, but the difference in preparation has given Fnatic the edge.
7,000 gold ahead for Fnatic after almost 4,500 gold. Baron power play. 2 inhibs cracked in top and bot lane, and now the mid lane left with an Ocean Drake as a bit of an additional objective if Fnatic would like it. They have complete control of the map right now, and it's showing.
Things become harder and harder for Immortals. They're going to have to rely on Fnatic mispositioning around an objective, overcommitting for a Baron, and maybe getting it stolen away, but even then, you're just looking at this Twitch and hoping that he can get to a late game point where he can maybe turn things around.
Yeah, it looks like Fnatic can't wait for their rematch with the Gigabyte Marines, as we're only 25 and a half minutes into the game, and they've already destroyed the majority of the Immortals' base. Now, the only area left is straight up mid lane.
Fnatic, of course, not wasting any time. Able to push through here with plenty of items just across all of their champions. This turret, not particularly defendable. Flame has 2 different super mini waves to worry about, and every bit of poke from Caps is doing an absurd amount of damage.
Huge silence onto Cody Sun. He wanted to try and force something there, but instead he's going to get forced back, getting relatively low, and look at the malefic vision on Provelta.
Yeah, it's so hard to see the opening for Immortals to try and make the comeback play, and it has to be some mistake here from Fnatic. You know, there is a lot of damage on Immortals that they could punish a mistake if one presented itself, but there are just so few options.
Well, turret number 3 in the inhib cycle will maybe look to go down here. TP from Soa is back to lock up Xmithie and buy a bit more time. He's actually flanking as he chunks Xmithie 50% health. The rupture not quite there, but they break the turret. Now, 1 inhibitor left for Fnatic to take, but they'll play it a bit more patiently.
I thought that they would try and reset for Baron, but they've actually got their eyes on the inhibitor. They feel strong enough to commit. Here comes Flame with the pillar.
Have to be something here for IMT, but Fnatic again just playing out their composition as they drew it up in the draft. This inhib is going to fall down. You just cannot face check this Malzahar and Cho'Gath, and Reckless is more than enough insurance for these fights. Cody lets it go with the ultimate. Flash fill there from Flame, trying to start something. The root on the cap is not enough damage as Soas again moves back through. Reckless getting aggressive, jumps forward toward the waters, and Soas just eats away, gets the kill. Cody caught by a rupture. That's going to be it. Fnatic push through, take down the Nexus, and look to make World's history as they go up against once more the Gigabyte Marine.
Look at the smiles on Fnatic faces. They defy expectations. They're going to take down Immortals and keep their quarterfinal hopes alive.
Only 1 left there as the Nexus goes down. Immortals will be the due to the World's group stage of Fnatic. Have 1
very clean game overall from Fnatic. You look at the early draft and there is so much pressure on Xmithy to snowball the top lane, keep the bottom lane from falling behind. He does all these things, but then one big play from Fnatic in the top side where they kill Cody Sun, they kill Ole without their flashes, very quickly translates into a Baron, and then there's nothing that Immortals can do to stop the relentless pressure from Fnatic.
Inexperience maybe showing a bit there for Immortals for their first trip to Worlds. A valiant effort here in Group B, but they will fall to the experience and honestly poise at Fnatic, who picked themselves all the way back up from probably underground, given how poorly their first week went. And unfortunately for NA, the curse of week 2 continues as Immortals again say goodbye to the group stage for this Worlds.
Yep, they were able to make it here to Worlds and have a good opening week, but fall down here in week number 2, as many North American teams have fallen prey to. Now, though, we get to look forward to some more Marines play. Gigabyte Marines versus Fnatic. This is going to be an exciting tiebreaker because these two teams have been neck and neck in this group.
And both teams vying for that opportunity to make it to the quarterfinals. No one really expected them. Gigabyte Marines were expected to finish bottom, maybe even above Fnatic by many analysts, and now they have that one opportunity, just one more game could get them into that quarterfinals.
Certainly rip the Pickums at this stage, but to get their thoughts on Fnatic's win, let's head over to Dash and the analysts.
Thank you very much, Pastry Time. Immortals, unfortunately, will be headed home with a 2-5 record after going 0-4 here in week 2.
Boom.
Yeah, basically, but Fnatic keeping the dream alive, winning 3 of 4 so far today. Only have to put one more together. You pointed it out. Caps walking by the camera, holding that up, calling it out. Just one more, baby, against the Gigabyte Marines to make history. Remember, to make history, to be the first team to go 0-3 in week 1 and make it out. It would be a feat.
It'd be an absolute miracle run. Before the show, we're like, what are the chances of Fnatic making it out of groups? And we're like, negative.
We were talking 0-6, you know. We were like, okay. But like, that's the thing. Like, so much respect for this team now because they were done. And mentally, this team is not very strong. Like, when they start losing games, it falls apart and they're not really picking themselves up. They lose to Longshoot at 0-4 already then, and then they managed to turn around. Like, very impressive. And the confidence boost they needed from, well, I want to remind everyone, Immortals going into the bot lane in that game earlier today, pushing that tower and Cody Sun with the flash and all those mistakes that happened. That gave the win over to Fnatic. They needed to do what they're doing now.
Right. At any point during this day, Immortals could have taken control of their own destiny and moved themselves forward. Fnatic has done everything in their power when it was their turn to make something happen, and they've done it. What speaks to me, though, is the adjustments that Fnatic has made between weeks 1 and 2. If I'm going to call out a difference between the NA squad and the EU squad, is that Fnatic came out with different strategies this week. Most notably in this game, banning out the tanks for Xmithy. Let's get him back onto an early aggressive jungler that doesn't have a lot of team fighting presence, and then the Malzahar pick of all things.
And I mean, the Malzahar pick is an adaptation. One thing I think other teams should be attacking perhaps is this Rek'Sai, which has been the same in every single game, and it feels like Fnatic is somewhat dependent upon it for that early aggression, for Broxah to be proactive, but I think that the Malzahar made a lot of sense. It's a very strong pick. You're able to pull off these sorts of plays, roaming up topside, get an easy dive, and you have to say that Flame definitely misplayed this dive. Maybe could have just tried to stay under the turret, try to clear out a wave.
Well, I think the Malzahar is not just important for Fnatic right now, but for the mental state that these teams are in because of how easy it is to execute. You point, you click, you get the champion deleted. And against the Marines that have already shown falter, against Fnatic in their second game, against Immortals right now that clearly are just demoralized mentally, it's a fantastic pick.
And those 2 last kills was really what won the game for Fnatic. That gets them the Baron. And when you're playing this split push style comp with an Ezreal jungle, you have no real engage. The way that you win the game is by split pushing, and Trundle cannot do that against a Baron-empowered team. That enabled Fnatic to so easily start taking the inhibitors, and the game is done as soon as you lose that Baron.
And that's one of the things I also really like about Malzahar is when the enemy team have no backline threat, no one touches Malzahar. He deals a ton of damage in team fights. Typically, his problem is, when he's ulting, he's stunning himself, he's standing there dealing with damage against one guy, and then 2 or 3 other champions kind of attacking him and most likely killing him.
And you know what? How he also nullifies Ezreal. You got Voidlings blocking the way for the Mystic shots.
Against
How
Rise
did he-
Q as well,
yeah, how did
baby.
he actually get a hit A? So the Malzahar pick gets to be even more genius than
But
we
I'm
thought.
even that much more intrigued now to see what Fnatic has planned for Gigabyte Marines
Aurelion Zone!
round number
And what
3
the
here,
Marines
right?
have.
Gigabytes have chosen blue side. I want to talk about this game a bit because where Fnatic focused out the tank junglers against Xmithy, you can't do that against Levi. We saw earlier different teams trying to attack his jungle pool and get him off of the carries, but there's just too many.
Well, for the majority of the day, the Marines have already played blue side. So 2 blues, 1 red side. So it makes sense for them to pick the side that they've most been comfortable with. Also, first rotationing maybe the Janna again. And blue side does offer the ability to target ban anybody specifically. And I do think you can go on Broxa and just get rid of these early game champions. Clearly, it has been a linchpin for Fnatic. So maybe strike there.
And for me, for Fnatic, they should be worried less about what Gigabyte Marines are doing and more about getting a well-balanced composition that fits their playstyle. Play your own game, play it measured, invade at level 1, figure out what the Marines are doing. If you can do that, doesn't matter what the Marines are going to bring out. You could have a strong game.
We'll have more time to talk on the other half of on the other side of the break, rather. As we speak, the Gigabyte Marines and Fnatic prepare for a monumental game with the winner advancing to the quarterfinals. Don't miss it.
Great rupture there from Solis with the pillar. He's going to force the flash out. Tagged already by the red buff. Xmithy still going flame. Flashes forward and Immortals going to grab first blood. Cap runs the ultimate rip. Bruxa lines up the knockup there and silent 2 death. Caps nails the kill.
I'm ghosting.
I'm running through here. Yeah, I'm gonna jump over.
We're behind them. Lulu set as well. I don't want to ult it. I don't want to ult it. We can burn after, maybe.
Solis just eats away. Gets the kill. Cody caught by a rupture. That's going to be it. Fnatic push through. Take down the Nexus and look to make world's history.
Nice, guys. One more game. One more game.
ladies and gentlemen, to the deciding game between the Gigabyte Marines and Fnatic. It all comes down to this, and I want to know from you guys one more time, we're calling it, who's moving on to the quarterfinals next to Longzhu Gaming? Fischio?
I'm going Fnatic for sure in this.
Riding it out.
Yeah, I'm going all the way now with Fnatic. They have confidence. You know, they're all really believing in what they're doing. They're playing really well. I think they now understand against Gigabyte Marines, you need at least some early game presence. It could be from your jungler. It could be fairly strong lanes they're drafting. Early wards to spot a lane swap, and then they will also just beat them in late game team fight. So I'm going with Fnatic.
I mean, that said, the Gigabyte Marines, they've surprised us throughout the tournament time and time again. Almost took a game off of Longzhu today. Crumbs, what are you thinking?
Well, I'm not going to be alongside you to counter your jinx this time, the fish.
Damn, that might be it now.
Be careful. I'm going with the Marines, and when I look at the games that we've had so far, I can't deny that my mind's telling me Fnatic that is actually going to be taking this one. But I gotta have that gut feeling inside me that's telling me that the Gigabyte... Exactly, right? My mind's
Use your brain, man!
I'm trying, but it just
It's
doesn't
the
work
prophet.
right now.
He doesn't have to explain himself. He just has to have the feeling.
You know what? If you don't want me to explain myself, I won't.
There it is. Sale, what are you thinking?
I have some faith in Fnatic in this one. I do think that they've had a fantastic day. The momentum is in their favor. And I feel like we've seen the formula of how to beat the Gigabyte Marines. As you said, you know, if you're able to put on some early pressure, if you're able to invade and figure out what they're doing, I feel like you can beat this team.
Have we seen the formula, though? I feel like teams don't even know what they're going up against every time they play Gigabyte.
Even know?
Let alone
That's my
have
question. Does it matter if you have a
downloaded?
super strong meta comp and you scout out what they're doing at level 1? Like, I'm of the opinion that it shouldn't, right? As long as you give respect over to the picks, you think about what the strengths of the picks are, as some teams have been wont to do. You know,
Right.
Mortals did not respect what the Urgot could do. But if you think, hey, what are the strengths and weaknesses of these champions? Why is it not meta? They're not meta for a reason. You know, pick like Janna and Lulu and these sorts of
What are
picks
your
are
thoughts,
always there.
Fischio?
I mean, I agree 100%, and I think the key thing with Gigabyte Marines is they're getting the advantages through mid and jungle. Archie 1v1 will not do anything, and 2v2 bot lane, they're not winning either. So as long as you respect that duo from the mid lane, you should be okay. And obviously there could be some crazy strategy coming out now, but I feel like they have shown a lot of things. They've had a few hours to figure something out, which
If
is
they have
scary.
something new, it could be crazy.
Sure, but the Marines have also had, as you said, a lot of time to look at Fnatic. Fnatic's on that hot streak. They have been playing
But
better.
they're picking the same every game except for Malzahar.
Yeah,
Bans
you
are
know,
outside.
I think that they can actually, if for once they tailor their bans to Fnatic, I think they actually can come out ahead with a winning mid and jungle synergy. You've given away Rek'Sai to Broxah how many times so far?
Fnatic just grabbed Syndra in the first
I'm just
rotation.
glad that you guys don't agree, because that means we're very likely to have a crazy, crazy game. That's going to do it from us now. It's time to send it over to the casters to get into the action.
And action we will have. Thank you, Dash, and welcome to Papa Smithy and Jat, who are joining me for the final tiebreaker game of the day between the Gigabyte Marines and Fnatic. I don't know if I expected to say that sentence at Worlds.
This has been one of the craziest days we've had at Worlds. 2 tiebreaker games. Fnatic started 0-4. If they make it to the quarterfinals, they will have won 4 games in a row. It is insane what had to happen to even get us to this point.
And even just you and I, because it's the 8th game of the day, so we had to roll in some new analysts here to try to get you through. You're doing some great work here, Pastry Types. One more for both these teams as well, and they posed that question. Gigabyte Marines, do they have one more? Because they need one more, and then they'll have a week to cook up some new strategies for the quarterfinals if they can pick up the win.
Yeah, and it's also what picks do they have, what bans do they have?
Sure.
Because I agree with Crumbs there, where I am tired of seeing Broxah on Rek'Sai, because he has been so effective for it, and I want to see the teams, I want to see Gigabyte Marines sitting backstage watching the early pressure that he puts out with that pick and getting rid of it.
And if I think about Fnatic, what is the one ban that I would like against the Gigabyte Marines? I feel like we slept on how good Optimus was in the mid lane on Syndra. I think taking away Syndra really did dampen the luster of some of the laning phase, specifically in the mid lane for the side of Gigabyte Marines.
And the sneaky thing about the Gigabyte Marines is they dazzle you with all these weird picks you haven't seen, but the guts of their best team compositions are in the carries. And when that's Syndra, Trist with the Lulu, it's actually very standard in that sense.
Well, gentlemen, we'll have one of 2 firsts happen during this tiebreaker. Either Fnatic will be the first ever 0-3 Week 1 team to qualify for a quarterfinal, or Gigabyte Marines will make their first ever quarters at Worlds.
Interesting note, Gigabyte Marines had their choice of side, and this crazy team who knows about the counter picks, who might want red side, you think, chose blue side for the final game of the night.
Certainly interesting as Jarvan joins Kalista as Fnatic's first two bans, Janna and Xayah, so a complete bottom lane taken away by Gam, and Rek'Sai, there it is.
And now we're in uncharted ground right now as far as this is concerned. Will we also see a Galio ban? That has been pivotal for Gigabyte Marines. They beat Fnatic with it in the first game of this group stage. Marines nearly beat Longzhu with the Galio strategy, but they did not, and that's why we're here.
There's a lot up, though. You have to know that Lulu was not taken at first pick. Sejuani taken over everything, so it's not going to be Levi focused, at least in terms of getting him a combative jungler. Sure, you can skirmish with the Sejuani, but this is a very high priority on a meta jungler, and maybe the prophecy will be standard from Gigabyte Marines, but it's no surprise that Lulu and the Syndra we discussed is taken away from Gigabyte Marines.
Yeah, and with 280 carry bans, no early Trist right there, so No Way could definitely take that here. It does show the importance that both these teams are putting on the picks that each other have been successful on.
I like the Syndra though from Fnatic, but with Lulu and John already off the board, Rakan is kind of the obvious next choice there for Gigabyte Marines, so Saya will have to show off his playmaking. He came in this week and has looked quite good with the team.
Yeah, as far as champions that enable a fast and aggressive style, both Sejuani and Rakan have fit that bill so far in this draft.
And there's the Trist we expect, so first pick ADC goes over to Gigabyte Marines.
Yeah, No Way in their first victory at this tournament was a star on the Tristana, the sleight of hand, everything else with the Nocturne happening, and okay, quick lock-in on what has previously been considered a good laning pick into the Tristana, the Sivir being picked up here for Reckless, so locking it in early. I don't think he would have been banned in the second round, but putting it in there now.
Yeah, it's very bold right here, and I feel like it's just because Fnatic want to save as much as they possibly can as far as getting a counter pick, because if they lock one in here, it makes it a little bit easier for Gigabyte Marines to draft around that. Who knows, though? I think it's a perplexing pick in a lot of different ways. It can potentially spell shield some stuff against Tristana, but you can't spell shield the full Rakan combo. It's a multi-spell layering, so he could be in a lot of danger in team fights.
Well, top lane bans now for Gigabyte Marines. They take away Cho'Gath, Cassidy on the side of Fnatic, consistently been taken away from Optimus ever since they won their first game in this group versus Fnatic. But Talia will also join the mix, and now before we move into our last 4 picks of this group stage, Gigabyte Marines will have one more ban. And it's Gragas, so taking a jungler away from Broxah.
Yeah, able to target a decent amount right there with that. I feel like I'm still very confused by that Sivir pick, because unless they think Marines would have banned it and they really wanted it, a jungle pick would have fit perfectly in that early rotation.
And the jungle pick is what you expect at this pick for Fnatic, because Cho'Gath has been taken off the board, but they're going to look for a safe top laner. So suddenly, there's questions about where Broxah will go. Lee Sin, of course, one pick they looked pretty good on, even if they couldn't quite get the full value out of it, and they will go for a blind pick Gnar. See what's available here for Gigabyte Marines. So far, they're still at least hovering more standard.
Well, again, by the looks of this, Sejuani is not going anywhere else. That was the only other consideration I had for Gigabyte Marines mixing up this drop. But again, on blue side, he's going to play it very safe, and looks like Orianna's going to be the lockup, and I assume Maokai and Gigabyte Marines like, we're good enough players. Let's just play team fight.
And it's a ton of team fighting initiation if we've seen it. You don't really imagine some type of super weird strategy with these picks.
It is sort of a ton of scaling, though. When it comes to early presence, you would say the Tristana over the Sivir situationally, but otherwise, there's quite a lot of advantage in terms of wave control, in terms of minion wave control, and also early game on the side of Fnatic. And look at this, a Broxah special is going to end the draft on a Lynx.
And now we're putting Fnatic in a position where they are trying to get a lot of pushing lanes with an invading jungler, and it's Gigabyte Marines who are then put on the early game back foot, maybe making a little bit more of the reactionary plays in the early game before they can be proactive with their initiation. The shoe is definitely on the other.
And that's kind of where I was going to get to, is this feels like opposite day in the final game of the day. The 8th game, Gigabyte Marines have the most meta comp they have drafted the entire tournament, and Fnatic are very much focused on that early to mid game.
Papa Smithy, I love opposite day right there. Immortals was winning last week, losing this week. Fnatic now winning instead of losing, and now the strategies have even flipped for Gigabyte Marines. This is about as cookie cutter team fight comp as you can get.
Well, I love Fnatic certainly putting power in the right hands. A comfort pick for Reckless, counter-picking a comfort jungler for Broxah, and giving Captain Early Syndra just to give your rookies comfort. Fnatic know they have come so far, but if it gets undone here, that is the most possible heartbreak for Fnatic and their European fans.
It's the most possible heartbreak for any of these teams. We have never had this type of three-way tie at the World Championship where everyone goes 2-4. So everyone has had those moments where if one thing goes better and they win one team fight, they wouldn't have even had to be in this tiebreaker. Now that it's down to the final game, all of your sins of the past can be erased.
And what a way we've come as we move out to Summoner's Rift for Group B's final time. Our second Worlds tiebreaker here in this group. As a reminder, it is only day one. But we have to seed a second team into the quarterfinals. Will it be Gigabyte Marines or Fnatic? We'll have to find out.
Understand the tinge of delirium in your voice on your fifth game in a row on play-by-play, but makes me hyped. I hope every day can match the drama of today. A day that could have been decided on the first 2 games in terms of who went through. Took 8 of all things, took another full day's match day just to get to this point.
And everything had to happen exactly as it did to get us to this point as well. Everyone in the three-way tie had to take 1 game off the other team. Everyone also had to lose to Longju. It all fell into place today, and now we're here.
Scripted, baby.
That's what it feels like in a little bit of way, in a lot of ways, Pop Smithy.
Well, I like this adaptation for Gigabyte Marines, actually stacking the typical invade path here from Fnatic, but they instead mix it up, also play it safe, just spreading across the rift. So we'll, for once, have a standard start to a Gigabyte Marines game.
And kind of the fun thing with Gigabyte Marines is, of course, a lot of people be mired in words like cheese and some of the more creative picks, but largely they have understood what their team comp did, what the enemy team comp did, and tried to play around when they were strong, just like the Urgot that worked very well earlier in the day. Is Archie's gone for a bit of a walk, but should be able to walk away here. Now they have standard. Now they should know. Absolutely. They're very clear. Hey, it's going to have to be scale. It's going to have to be defensive. If they can act on that, it takes away all the people that are wanting to point fingers at Gigabyte Marines. They'll just say, oh, actually, they're just a good team. They just happen to have a mind for the innovation rather than always just going for the standard.
Well, you can see Optimus pushing caps in early here. As we do move out into our lane. So Brox has started early red. So Levi's moving over now to his other buffs. Just clearing red buff on his side of the map. Now back onto the blue. So could certainly be early action top lane.
Yeah, top lane is very gankable when you're Gnar early against a Maokai. Even though Maokai does get pushed in a fair bit when left to his own devices, his follow-up and gank assist is so good. Levi pathing to hit level 3 very early. Archie has skilled W2, or rather Twisted Advance at level 2, so that gank is a real possibility.
And honestly, the matchup I'm most interested in this game is Broxer versus Levi, because what do we say? Pushing lanes and an invading jungler. Maybe I'll have to hold that point.
Here's Mega Soas, does flash out of the way, but the Permafrost now applied. Archie can look for that stun as Soas could be locked up in. Already burned the flash. It's disaster. First blood for Gigabyte Marines.
Just like it was last game when Fnatic played Immortals, the very early gank top lane as Broxer passed towards the bottom side. No couch to be had, and great timing by the Marines. Didn't even have to expend a flash.
He's also going to stay for a potential repeat gank. This could be certainly. Curtains on the laning phase. Now if he falls behind in lane, can't be the same bully.
And he thinks he's safe. Now the question is, how patient is Levi, and can they get him again? He's playing very safe, and he knows the wave will crash.
Where's pushing? Flash route. Archie gonna try and make it happen again. Permafrost reapplied to Soas. Has to run his way out of there, but Tag, he's gonna get stunned up again. Soas just got through, but he leaps over. Finally hits Sweep, and Levi flushes with the red buff, and he's gonna turn the trick again.
And that ganks the killer, because he can no longer teleport back into the wave to catch the experience.
And it buys so much time for Archie to get levels as bot lane.
Slick reflexes there for Broxer, but a lot of damage being dished out on either side. No way, barely living the burst.
They don't even have a heal barrier. They could potentially lose the turret. That's why they're teleporting Tell with the Maokai.
Cancel. Does not cancel, excuse me. Make sure his bot lane stays safe. That is a real team commitment from Archie.
So much stuff happening in this game. Archie had a huge experience advantage over Soaz, so he teleported back in, and as Jack mentioned, could not get a lot of experience. Those extra levels, also the item time is going to be likely hit much earlier for the Maokai, trivializes a lot of the early harass that Soaz can do. He's finally back into lane. He'll start to control it. We will see the Maokai go back top lane, but he did relieve some pressure off the duel.
Yeah, and some of the outcomes of those 2 kills onto Soaz aren't turret damage. It's not even an incredibly skewed top lane, as now both top laners are without their teleport and flash. It's actually just a very fed Levi on Sejuani. So he'll be hitting level 6 quickly, he'll be getting Cinderhawk very soon, and it's about how much he can use the advantage, because don't really expect Archie to be able to gully Soaz there after using this teleport bottom, and also not picking up the last hit on either of those kills.
Got to keep tracking Levi, though. Looks like he's back to business here in the top side. Gonna scan around with the plank. It's a ward down into the river as well. Looks like just keep jungling. Like you said, Jan is accelerated, wants to stay ahead of the curve.
What this game really cements to everyone, I hope, is that Levi, it's about the mindset, not necessarily the picks. This guy has a ganking mindset. It doesn't matter that it's Sejuani against Elise. Levi is the player who will look for the creative ganks. His pathing into the advanced brush to ward off just a single ward, answering his return gank in top, was also of the mindset of a ganker. And Broxah has the lowest kill participation before today of any player in the tournament. So he has struggled to have anywhere near the impact that, of course, Levi has.
Yeah, and looking at the bottom lane as well, this is a lane that Broxah should be looking to snowball around. Reckless and Jessis have had perma-shove in this lane. Lulu as well as Sivir does out-shove the Rakan and the Trist, and when they were shoved in as well, that's when Noe and Sia went for Broxah down to that bottom lane, so that CS lead has exploded.
Smart ward coming through, and on your screen you can see that Reckless has definitely had some good times on the Sivir. Has been a legacy pick for him, even though a lot of other regions were looking past the Sivir pick for most of summer.
Yeah, and when we said it was a perplexing pick in Champ Select, it was just because we didn't expect it to be banned, so they could have gotten something for them.
Oh, Broxah looking to burst down Saya, but not enough just yet. 3v3, but a little too low already. Reckless might flash in for the kill, but Saya battle dances away.
Definitely at the point in the game where you can be pretty brazen with base checks when you have this many kills on a Sejuani. So his presence sort of warded off there being any counter kills, as we see Optimus roaming down as well.
Look at this turret, it's extremely low. That's why Optimus is down here. But Reckless and Jessis are just going to keep shoving in as long as they have Broxah there for the support.
Pop back there by Soaz, gets out from under the sapling. And Archie put into the brush, but you can see with the early lead playing confidently here in the top lane, and Optimus the same, very completely even on CS versus Caps, and he's had a great landing phase just on his own. It really has been split map attention as far as these two very heavy ganking junglers go.
This bigger lead and a 7-minute turret is not a trivial factor in solo queue in Korea. Doran's ring Sivir is actually pretty common. Doran's ring Jhin and Doran's ring Sivir to allow this sort of push, but double range just does so much work in bot lane that with Relic Shield, they take a turret at less than 7 minutes.
Yeah, absolute destruction of that bottom lane by Reckless and Jessis, and they played that lane so extremely well in such an impressive moment. And this entire run by Fnatic has been insane. Listening to Caps talk at the start of the day and how beaten he sounded when talking about, well, maybe I don't really think we deserve to get out. But after they, I feel like, won that game against Immortals with the comeback win to the Nexus kill before their team full wipe, those wins could be cathartic. And they completely changed the mentality after that game. They've really been a new team.
And what did we see from Fnatic? There was so much action around the top side. The bot side said, hey, we're definitely not getting ganked. This guy's getting camped top side. Let's get advantages bot side. And we couldn't really say that about a lot of Fnatic's play in most of the games last week. Seeing that today is another good sign, because at least they're getting wins somewhere rather than wins nowhere.
Yeah, 30 CS lead for Reckless as it continues to build up, and Fnatic already hot swapping there to the top side. Why not? You have a strong pushing lane already with the Sivir and Lulu. Gets always out of that lane. I mean, 1v2 is not much worse than the situation he's already been in, and Fnatic are looking to tear down these turrets.
Yeah, it's going to be much harder to push into Archie right now because he does have the Ninja Tommy, but the pressure is there. The early deaths from Soaz are mostly forgotten by and large because he hasn't lost his turret. His gold is actually not that far behind Archie. It's 300 in a Maokai versus Gnar matchup. That's negligible. The question will be whether or not Gigabyte Marines can get onto Reckless, and that's going to be the question for the rest of the game at this point, as he's looking like the early front runner to have most of Fnatic's
It was something like 1,200 gold behind for No Way on the Tristana as well, who will have to slowly cobble together something.
Yeah, 1,109 minutes.
Yeah, almost 40 CS behind as well. There's No Way trying something. If you see the control ward, Levi did not stick around, so gonna know that something's up. Fnatic instantly back away in the potential 3v3, but Broxah is also in the area if needed. So this swap from Fnatic going very well.
And we have to again return to pick and ban. Okay, there's been 2 kills and we see Reckless getting ahead. Outscale is still a game plan for Gigabyte Marine. So having 2 kills, having the Sejuani, never get invaded by Elise, get a free jungling phase and then some with bonus gold is still, if we look back at more traditional days, because today has been atypical and then some in terms of the meta, or maybe it's the evolution of the first week meta. But by first week meta standards, Gigabyte Marines can still hold their head high. They still have great options as the game goes on.
So that gold lead for Fnatic is actually in the hands of Reckless, like we mentioned, but Soa's about to go Mega, getting hunted down by Optimus, but yep,
He's sneaky.
don't see him, and Soa chills out, has a bit of a chuckle in the brush, and just gonna be patient.
And by seeing Orianna down bottom side, Fnatic is now even more emboldened to continue to shove top.
Well, Broxah actually might find a pick here, level 5 for the Rakan versus 7 of Broxah, and Archie could be in even more trouble. Ninja Tabe are good. See what Sosa Spades can do, but again, all action here on the Fnatic bot lane, as almost always. Just going to shut down this turret, zoning off the dual lane completely, nothing Gam can do.
They're not even level 6 on the Rakan right now, plus they don't have the people there to follow Broxah. They're not necessarily getting their defense in the right places to deal with this pushing bot lane. These objectives are coming very fast for Fnatic.
I feel like the game time is almost crept up on us. Only 10 minutes into the game, yet a lot of advantages being added on for the side of Fnatic, who are in the role of aggressor this game. And again, I said it earlier, I'll say it again here, it's good to see the team that has the momentum, that's trying to play proactive, find these leads. Today, scaling hasn't worked as reliably, so they'll feel good about where they are, but only when they take the outer mid lane turret do I think they'll pay off their draft and really feel good, especially if it's pre-15 minutes.
That's the big one. 2,000 gold means a little bit now, but it will mean a lot more when they can open up that mid lane, get to 3,000 to 5,000 gold lead, and potentially overpower Gigabyte Marines in team fights. Because yes, Reckless is ahead right now, but Essence Reaver versus BF Sword in a full-on 5v5 when you're talking about Sejuani, Maokai, and Orianna is a lot less of an advantage.
Reckless just trying to continue pushing his advantage there in the top side, and Levi, we saw those 2 great ganks to start things off for himself and Archie in the top lane, but has been well spotted by Fnatic in a lot of their wards here, so certainly playing with a bit more respect as Broxah going to get tagged. Could get chased down here, but a great Cocoon might save him, flashes in, rappel down, can't make it to that Raptor, but Cat is going to save him now. Reckless actually moving in with the ultimate. Levi a little too far, he's going to dodge the next turn, needs to keep going out of the way. Blast point's over, Interject is waiting, arms cap, lets the ultimate go. Oh no, Saya, defensive quickness doesn't find it. Oh, Shockwave adding insult to injury as well.
A great escape, I feel like, from Levi sidestepping the Sun from Caps and then making a mistake, but then 2 blown ultimates that did not need to be used from the Rakan as well as Optimus' Orianna, so that's a big loss of pressure, and Fnatic's just going to rinse and repeat, keep shoving in these lanes.
Well, why wouldn't you? Fnatic, everything really being handed to them in this early game since the action in topside, so it's going to get locked out. Oh, goodbye. Makes the back safe. I knew he was the whole time.
Bit of a cheeky giggle, getting to lane faster. They have almost complete control when it comes to the river on top side of the map, so Herald to basically be free for them if they want to try to fight back for this sort of control on this side. Marines will have to invest Levi's time. He's the only base checker at the moment, doesn't have to worry about dying, so for now at least playing with pretty shallow vision, ends up just growing the CS and experience advantage.
Oh, the poor blue buff CC'd forever. Caps does get it as they take the Rift Child and steal the blue out of Gam's jungle. Fnatic just playing so actively on this map, and Gam just kind of sitting back and saying, all right, if we have to scale, I guess we scale, because very passive play from an otherwise aggressive team.
Yeah, and the things Fnatic are doing are things they're very comfortable doing. This is how you play, and this is how they like to play during the regular season. You get a bottom lane who has a CS advantage and can apply pressure, you cycle your junker down there, you take a turret, you swap to the top side, you take the Rift Herald, use that to break mid. That's the script for running these strategies, and Gigabyte Marines has opted into the same game style, but they're not playing the same game. They're not beating Fnatic at these spots, and they're getting a little bit run over.
It's a bit surreal, but the assignment right now for Levi is take the 2 camps closest to mid and make sure they don't outnumber and take the mid lane turret. The turret HP and Levi's job are intrinsically linked right now. That's the only way that Fnatic can really accelerate the pace of the game that they want to at kind of their own behest, and that's why Levi is largely just pathing around mid. Cheeky blue buff steal, though, is quintessential Levi.
Broxah, though, again, heralded up, is going to try and maybe get that happening soon. Roam over, Optimus is going to take the blue buff, so mid laners will both get it. As we look again down to up to the top lane side for Soaz. Black Cleaver done, so maybe his side lane pressure could also affect it as Optimus trying to make a play.
And looking at Levi right now, he's taking Wolves on the other side. He's not in a position to stop this Rift Herald push.
Well, all members here for Fnatic, so it can tip in if he wants, but he's tying up Archie. The siege very
Might
successful.
go for a fight here, even after the turret dies.
Well, there's the ulti up from Reckless. Optimus has the ball placed, but everybody just dissipates from the center of the map.
And I feel like that's a misuse of the Sejuani. I mentioned what his job was, kind of disrespected it, but they might look for a kill on the back end.
Oh, still rooted up, but Soaz has his flash. Optimus very, very late with the dive is incoming. Levi is here. Soaz going to try and magic his way out of this one, but no luck. Optimus grabs it.
They do get the kill, but can they even get the minion wave to the turret? The third kill on Soaz with a lack of pressure. The waves continue to collapse down for the side of Gigabyte Marines.
With this comp, a single kill for mid lane turret is a mistake. It is not a trade up, it is a trade down. Fnatic are more than happy. Soaz had no interest in trying to flash. A pretty easily flashable ultimate, because his flash will be used aggressively when he hits Gnar in the next particular team fight. So honestly, Gigabyte Marines need to continue to have a strong spine because they drafted into being the defensive team and then tried to play aggressive with Levi.
Well, Fnatic still climbing up in the gold, 2,000 ahead still with 0 kills on the board, as Soaz and Archie are doing battle.
Yeah, just watching this one more time. It was an extended trade. Soaz did use his Gnar early, but once the mid lane turret goes down, it is really hard to escape a Maokai, as we can see Fnatic taking that Mount Drake. While this replay is happening, they just chased on. They knew Fnatic would probably be recalling after that mid lane turret, get the slow. Yes, Soaz potentially could have flashed, but he still would have been run down by Archie and Levi.
Better to hold the summoner and they'll take the Drake off the back of it all. So business as usual for Fnatic, given how they've been the last 3 games. Insane to think they could potentially go 0-4 into 4-0.
Oh, another kill here potentially. Cap's actually going to grab his first. No, not yet as Archie. I think maybe I'm in the ult with his W, but still so whacking away, and Caps does grab it.
Tables a turn for Archie. The other guys have more people this time, and there's still no pressure on the other side of the map because that was a play made by Fnatic while their waves were pushed, so they can essentially make it cost-free.
Good catch by Pastry Time. He did manage to W through the damage, but his death was guaranteed and all of that. The Reckless stats just in this game. Domination in the Sivir lane has certainly been achieved, and still no real confirmation that it's all worth it for Gigabyte Marine.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this overall gold lead for Fnatic, and it's 2.8 thousand, and then you look at just the bottom lane for Fnatic. It's 1.6 thousand for Reckless and 1.2 thousand for Jessis. That's 3,000 gold. That's the lead, is their bottom lane right now.
You're not supposed to smash lane, and of course not in kills, but in terms of CS with Relic Shield. It's the bonus for both of them, plus the turret gold and the multiple turrets they've been involved in. So gold standard achieved for Fnatic, and still a waiting game for Gigabyte Marine.
Kind of continuing a very inverse situation we've had today. Fnatic might win a game shutting Gam out of objectives, which I don't know if it's ever happened. Finally, they have a kill on the board. Caps was able to collect the last one, but it is always odd to be behind in kills but ahead in objectives. But Fnatic have played a very calculated game to get to this point, as Levi will grab the Scuttle Crab there.
There is a bit of a meme for Sivir games called the 500 CS win condition, where Sivir gets 500 CS. That generally means Sivir is max items. Against double frontline, you're just ricochet critting all the way to the backline, and it's a very strong strategy. We're already 2/5 of the way there, and Gigabyte Marines hasn't gotten close to turning on yet. Reckless has had some of the best CS per minute of any player at the World Championship, the highest coming into today. So Fnatic will be fairly confident with what was that early pick Sivir in the draft after they had seen the enemy bottom lane.
And Sivir in the Ardent Sensor meta, remember that the support is another squishy that will not be buying armor for the majority of the game. So those ricochets are hurting 3 members intensely as the game goes on, and not much mitigation will be found through armor from either the Orianna, the Tristana, or the Rakan.
Fnatic still weaving very effortlessly across the left side of this map. So as in a 1v2 right now, so he respectfully backs away. Gamma completely backs up against it. Broxer gets tagged by a good chunk of damage from Optimus, but pressure is happening in two lanes, and so is he's happy to absorb in the bot lane.
And those are the little things that Gigabyte Marines need a lot more of. Anything to disrupt this cycle that Fnatic is running, because they have played this game so many times, you need to be able to delay it with poke like that.
You have to wonder, do they have to start opting into multiple scrying orbs? Because getting Baron Vision has been impossible for them for the last couple of minutes. Sure, it's going to spawn in 30 seconds, but right now, actually pushing forward on the map, outside of what we see on the bot side, has been very difficult for them. The Baron will be another headache, sure.
Soaz is making him fight for this turret as well. Gets some damage down, but no way. Should have enough to finish it up. Meanwhile, Reckless chasing after Optimus. Shockwave, not good. Reckless with a great spell shield as the stun from Caps, with only just a bit short.
Second one that is just barely missed to the left or the right, thanks to sidesteps or Caps moving it a little bit. If they get that pick, they potentially do move for that Baron, since they already had the Mountain Drake. But Optimus escapes using both summoner spells. Caps ended up flashing as well.
That's an objective trade up for the Gigabyte Marines. First good news story for them in a long time. We're seeing action, I think, in two lanes.
Soaz hopping away. There could be the combo. Not going to go for the dive. Actually, they will. No way. Goes in for it, but he can't follow after a great flash from Soaz.
A lot of turret shots being taken by No Way and Seha right there. So they do get some pressure down bottom lane by forcing the flash, but they run a lot themselves.
Yeah, Levi's ult was used in the mid lane as well.
Got the cleanse out of Caps.
Double summoners from Caps, so that's pretty good on that particular side. So a lot of action, relentless aggression in two lanes for the Marines, but no ability to grow it bigger. Gold lead also, it's contracting, only 1,700 gold at 20.
Yeah, and also if we were to find the game that would be most similar to this one so far at the group stage for Fnatic, it would actually be their week 1 game against Immortals. Yep. Where Reckless was really fed, he had a dominant laning phase, but Fnatic as a team wasn't able to make that many plays, and eventually it came down to one big mistake. As this gold lead is still marginal, it hasn't increased in percentage, it has stayed pretty much 2,000 to 3,000 for the past 10 minutes. That fear creeps into your head. Fnatic has playmakers this time. They have the Syndra and the Elise. In order to make it to the quarterfinals, those are the guys that are most likely need to make some plays, because Reckless can't do everything on Syndra.
Optimus is going for second item Ludus, so wants some power of his own in the mid game. Stop there being more of a trough. It's just a replay what happened around the mid side while we're focused on bot lane. So still investing in some mid game. They know they're going to be comfortable at 4 to 5 items, but hey, just that little bit more power early certainly will go far for Optimus.
And Fnatic needs to play as a team right here, which is what they are doing around Baron right now. The more control they can get with Vision, the higher the likelihood they land a Cocoon and use that Mountain Drake to get a large team advantage.
Well, game is getting closer. As Gam taking that turret, prevent the shutout of objectives, and again continue to kind of move people around the important sections of the map. Reckless still scaling, but Gam will be happy to sort of tie the game at just 2,000 gold, given that we're now 22 minutes through it. Fnatic, however, are looking to make it perfect on Drake, so they move towards the mountain that's now spawning.
I think Gigabyte Marines will do fine by just opting into gold right now by taking the outer top lane turret. Looking for a fight here. Honestly, the easiest way for Gigabyte Marines to be bowled over is the face check and Elise Cocoon. Syndra and Elise damage, deletion on most of their members. Lock it or no. Spectre's Cal or no. So for now, give up the Drakes, take the immediate gold, and keep things tight.
Yeah, and Gigabyte Marines are getting something back here. When Fnatic was posturing for Baron Vision the first time, No Way took the first outer tier turret. When Fnatic goes for the second Mountain Drake, they get the top outer turret. And if they get a tier 2 here, they very nearly did. They would have nearly equalized the goal, but this is where Fnatic is looking to make their play.
TP from Soaz going to try and make it happen. Now Levi going to turn back around. TP also in from Gam as Levi. Maybe this catches Soaz Archie trying to make something happen. Oh my god, what a buster shot! Kicks Soaz out of the fight. Reckless also popping his ulti and Gam walk away. Scott in for his Archie.
Re-engage maybe.
Tries goes back in the ulti finds Reckless No Way. Immediately goes in on him, but Soaz still fighting here. A good 3-man start from Cap. With Soaz, he goes down and Gam come alive.
Gigabyte Marines, team fight fundamentals were awesome there. Caps will most likely just lead to the disengage. Levi going forward when they saw the teleport came in. Zoned away multiple members. It will be best seen on the replay, but his instinct to move forward stopped it being a collapse from Fnatic, and then just turned on Soaz, who was caught alone.
Reckless has no flash.
Oh my goodness, the knockup does land in. Not enough spell shield. Stun lands through, and the support grabs him.
And if we're talking about team fight fundamentals in the mid game, tank play reigns supreme. If you're in front of your damage dealers, you win the fight, especially when one team has the tanks and the other has burst and flank. Soaz couldn't get in for the flank. The first time, Roxa was never able to find effectiveness as he was the one who was initially targeted, so Gigabyte Marines win the fight in multiple ways.
And the gold is basically absent now, less than 1,000 gold without scale. Nothing is decided. Those last couple of moments, the smart team fight calls are great news for the side of Gigabyte Marines. So this all starts off with them giving up, trying to take this turret, realize they couldn't do it. Watch the teleport and where it's channeled here and Levi's decision making.
And then look at the spacing as well. Lulu and Syndra are really far behind the play. Levi moves forward to buy some space. And then here, Noe, boom, prevents the Mega Gnar immediately.
That one moment basically means that Sivir ultimate will lead to nothing, but Archie, he's only thinking of regame.
Yeah, well, Syndra also walks over a ward in the jungle, so Gigabyte Marines know they have a numbers advantage and can freely engage. They hardly get touched in this play. Reckless realizes the fight has gone astray and flashes out.
We want to talk about the Sejuani ultimate, but we will talk about Sejuani sticking topside and then eliminating Reckless on the backside of all of this.
Again, we expect him to scale with Reckless. Not a good look.
That is not the picture you want to see for Fnatic when it's the team that has struggled with their mentality after the first week going 0-3, feeling like they wouldn't be able to bounce back. But miraculously this week, they pull so much back together. They have come so far. There is no way they can give up now.
And so as look at this, Spirit Visage second. No Frozen Mallet to potentially abuse Archie in a sideline kind of things. All right, we're probably going to be need to team fight soon as Fnatic have to opt into something in this mid game around the major objectives like the Baron or of course the next dragon that's spawning, which is an Infernal. But Gam just going off right now. Caps clutches in, cleanses out of the way, but now that's going to dive a beautiful nails that one, and Optimus grabs it.
And nothing Elise can do there. Suddenly the Shu. We talked about the Shu being on the other foot in terms of draft. Now in terms of tempo in the actual game. Gigabyte Marines reign supreme, and Fnatic can only run in one direction. It's away.
Gigabyte Marines have a lot of initiation tools. They just didn't have the push in the early game. As you said, they had to stall out. Cap still down, also still flashless. Soaz also still in the mid lane. Marines gonna push strong.
Gonna go for this turn, actually are going to get it. Fnatic cannot defend, and now they're just gonna keep going. Gam, gonna try and bust through and in here. Such decisive play here from this team. Fnatic can only watch as that part of their base crumbles.
This game accelerated to late game a lot sooner than Fnatic thought it would. They have an early game advantage, but you're hitting the power spikes on Noe's Tristana. You're hitting those points of Maokai being able to find fearless teamfight initiation.
And everything was so clean until it wasn't. It felt like Fnatic were doing exactly what they needed to. Rotating around the map. You hear that shout? They're trying something
Archie again, but he's almost got already. This could be real bad for Fnatic if they don't make it happen. And Levi is going to try and go in. Ultimate! Look at that turret! Oh God! Doesn't quite have it. He did that with Ultimate. It's so close for Reckless. Caught in the front lines. Dies to Archie. And now Soaz trying to get a kill back here. But again, the Napoleon to Archie as he zones out Broxa and Jezis.
Caps is flanking.
Oh, that Ultimate barely missed. Archie's still here. Optimus can find a very crucial shockwave, but Archie, I think he's just going to leave him away.
And Baron is still up. There's no Reckless to take it, so Fnatic has to be very careful. But they control ward. They know there's no vision. They know Gigabyte Marines is extremely low. And they have double mount.
No warmarks on Levi either. He did not rush it. Baron's at 2,000.
Optimus can make the play. He's got no help, but Zed can deliver. Not going to make it there as the Baron goes over to Fnatic side. Almost dies with the shockwave. Only finds one source. Takes down Levi as he flashes onto Optimus to finish off that kill. Hyperprox, there's the double for now.
And that's the clutch that Fnatic has had all day long. It goes awry at the start, Reckless falls, but the rest of the team backs up the play. Caps comes in from the side, lands a ton of poke. They get them low enough, they recognize the state of the game, and they make the aggressive call and convert.
Yeah, the two-man stun was so big from Caps, who had a ward around the blue buff area where No Way was trying to poke in. Both the damage dealers out of the fight, even without Reckless, able to power down the Baron. This game has been topsy-turvy on a topsy-turvy day, and now Fnatic find themselves again about 1,500 gold ahead.
Going for this Infernal Drake now, though. Fnatic, so much of an advantage, despite not having a top in here. Gavno might try something, but Levi not here to steal. No chance at all.
Yeah, they're definitely best to stay away from that one. And it's been a topsy-turvy game. Fnatic made the clutch play. They have triple Drake right now. 1 Infernal, 2 Mountain. But they're also missing a top lane inhibitor. Because there was a lot that went wrong before this big turnaround by Fnatic.
This was already after they had gotten some damage in, so they tried to rush down the Baron. Syndra famously has enough burst, so does the Elise. The turn away from here, the shockwave is just onto Jesus, and Soaz has no front line to respect, so can barrel into Optimus and only needs the auto attacks to cement both a double kill and the Baron to Fnatic.
Yeah, but we still know the Gigabyte Marines are willing to pull the trigger at any moment. There is still no flash onto Caps, and there is a flash on Archie's Maokai plus a Righteous Glory. So even though Fnatic has Baron, you cannot be sure that they are going to be the ones dictating the tempo.
Good one though, does spot Levi and Seiya trying something around the turret. And again, still pushing through Baron, so it's ready with TP if they need it, but again, they want this outer turret if they can get it, but they have to get it safely.
Always hit a very strong point in terms of damage. Double seal item complete. Only armor item on any member of Fnatic is a Brandowins onto Soaz. So target acquisition so important for the Marines. They can power them down.
And Soaz trying to hit some split push power has already gone Mega, so the ability to teleport in to get that Mega Gnar is diminishing by the second. But with Baron minions on one side plus a Sivir and a Syndra, as long as Fnatic's in front of a turret, there's not much Gigabyte Marines can do. Probably fine for Marines if it's actually Fnatic's Baron power play right now, and the fact that they pushed them into defense probably feels pretty good, but it's still a very close game.
Conditional statements is all we have to bring you 8 games into what has been a mad first day of the second week of group stages here at the World Championships 2017. Gigabyte Marines do have the comp. They do have good item timings. The gold lead is nothing to write home about. On paper, you have to love what Gigabyte Marines have, but there can still be a single brain fade by one member of the 10 members in this game, and the game could be decided by that.
So as in a side lane though, something we've heard a lot at critical junctures for him at Worlds, and he is getting stronger on this now. Ignore the 4 deaths, but now his individual play has been amazing all day long.
Zeke's convergence for the second time in one day is some sort of double rainbow situation here at the World Championships. You see that ult pop from the Rakan, you can see big damage also.
In a day 4, and Archie tries to make them play the ulti, not weapon.
Oh no!
Hoops it up, Seiya still massive set of charms in the backline, but still TP's in, Mega now down the support, and Fnatic obliterate him.
And the fight isn't clean for Gigabyte Marines. The Orianna ball snapped back due to range, and then Rakan found the God engage, but there was no shockwave to follow. That could have been so huge, but instead, it is now Fnatic with Baron pushing bottom.
Looks like inhibs could start to break here. Fnatic with a very strong push. Baron just gonna wear off, and looks like Fnatic. One more wave, no, don't even chance that.
Moments like that can decide best of 5s, can decide a best of 1 here to decide who moves forward, and the sombrero, as we call it, when you self-ult yourself, when you don't intend to, could be super critical from Optimus, because the setup was good.
And the thing is, in this group, all of these teams entered the tiebreaker at 2 and 4 as he jumps into Reckless.
No way with no fear.
Nothing to see here. Moments like that are things that all these teams have experienced because they've all lost 4 times. There have been those incredibly close clutch moments that they have fallen short on, and when they finally land it is potentially when they make the quarterfinals.
Watch the fight here. Ball is leashed onto Archie. Flash, twisted advance. Honestly, Optimus has the ball on him for longer than you would expect in this scenario. That was just losing the moment. It's many games in a single day, 4th game of the day for him. That is a critical mistake for the mid laner of Gigabyte Marines.
But Fnatic have held strong, rewarded with almost 6,000 gold up worth of Baron power play as they creep themselves up a very strong lead. Still, Gam are in this one, but willing to press the pace are Fnatic. They know how to close out games like this.
Wave clear from the Orianna when the Baron is down. As they look at Caps, remember Tristana and Rakan cannot get here.
Clifford flashes out, Archie's still there. Levi gets stunned up on the other end, but Archie not very tanky, taking way too much damage. Just trying to buy time maybe for the dual end as Archie finally falls to Reckless, but Noe's still there.
Yeah, but this was a Marines engage in a 3v5. They have their 80 carry and support over on the side.
Solaz, there's the dive, stunned one into the wall. Levi, chain stunned by the Syndra, barely makes it out alive, but Fnatic still going.
If they lose multiple members, they could just barrel through the mid side, but Caps is recalling first. They will lose bot lane inhibitor.
Optimus out of mana gets taken down by the clock tower.
And look at these death timers, 50 seconds, 28. There is a wave coming up the mid lane if Fnatic really want to get cheeky. It's an inhibitor trade regardless.
And trade is such a big word because next time, if we see any sort of win by Gigabyte Marines, they also have an open inhibitor to attack in the top lane. So closing the game is very possible. Still, 34 minutes into our 8th game.
Oh, Jesus! Down to nowhere, caught recalling.
Delayed recall when compared to the rest of the team is now caught, and that is a 42-second death timer, which will overlap with Baron by 20 seconds. And now they're going for more. Caps is flashless. They got it last time. They have to pop Banshee's Veil.
Reckless pops ulti defensively, but Gam will take the outer turret. Gam may not be playing his signature comp, but they are playing their signature style. This game is so fast.
Inferno Drake's going to be up in 2 seconds. That's most likely what Gigabyte Marines will do. But that's the only thing I can say with certainty about this team. Who makes that play for Marines where they send to bottom to engage 3v5 in hope of a pick? And now, the sneaky Baron.
I mean, this is making another call. They turn onto Inferno. Fanatics
Double
won't mount straight onto Baron. Like you said, they're going to get it so fast.
Yep, it goes down. Double mountain, more than enough. And at the same time as Gam get the Infernal, Fnatic grab another Baron.
But now Lulu's still in base. They're going to know there's a missed engage.
By a Mystic, quickness popped already, so it's going to hop over the wall to safety, but Levi might find a snipe.
But where's the rest of the team going to approach from? They still have people in the river. It's totally scattered.
And you can see attention from the pings onto the bot side. Gam don't have enough vision to try and get a pick. Fnatic, that was a lazy set of recalls, but they did not get punished.
We're seeing exhaustion, honestly, in this game. We're seeing many more misfires in a row than we've seen scattered across multiple games today. Both these teams trying to power through what has been an insanely long day. We started the matches 8 hours ago, and they are still battling here on the Rift. It is not clean, but it's all about the clutch because we're 35 minutes in.
And Gigabyte Marines won that first game of the day. That is the only game they have won today. Aside from that, they have fallen to Fnatic and Longzhu and stood watching Fnatic versus Immortals because Gigabyte Marines held the tiebreaker thanks to better win timing on their victories over Fnatic and Immortals. So, as you mentioned, an incredibly long day, and everybody is kind of just hoping for that second lease on life. Both of these teams have made so many mistakes during the group stage. If you would ask even the most hardcore fan, a lot of them would say at some point that their team didn't deserve to make it to the quarterfinals. But this is the world we are living in right now. And whoever wins this does earn it because battling exhaustion on an 8-hour day, being the best of the three, still counts.
Whatever one side is facing, the other side is facing too. You can never lose sight of that. Everyone here with their hearts in their mouths, waiting for an engage, waiting for a mistake, waiting for an outplay. The next one, any of those three things, probably decides the game.
If Gam can find the engage angle, if they can execute with this team comp, Fnatic may just lose on the spot.
And Reckless is insanely strong right here. When he upgrades his QSS to a Mercurial Scimitar, he will be a full build Sivir, as well as having a Lulu, one of the best buffers of an AD carry. They have that inhibitor down in the mid. They're pulling no way away from it, so it is kind of 180 carry versus 0 when you see if he can ever free hit, they would win the game. That's why Gigabyte Marines have to be so precise in their engage.
And you would say, what about the double stone plate? But Ricochet's so good against stone plate because it spreads damage across 3 members if they're grouped that have no armor. So getting damage onto the back line is a possibility for the Sivir. However, hilariously tanky Maokai and Sejuani are.
Still 1 minute and 30 seconds on this Baron buff. Soaz is doing work in the side lane with his Black Cleaver and Guardian Angel. It is incredibly difficult for Marines to make an initiation. They don't have that much damage without Tristana here.
Well, Levi threatens, but again, Gam know that without a 5v5, it is tough for them to do too much. Baron is wearing off, though, for Fnatic. Only a minute left, and they haven't got too much more. Gam actually protecting their inhibitor turrets, not the tier 2, Soaz did manage to claim that, but only losing 1 inhib after 2 Barons might be a miracle if Gam can do it.
Yeah, and remember, Fnatic is pushing this lane because that's the lane where they don't have an inhibitor. Yep. Fnatic has also suffered substantial base destruction during this game.
Levi onto Reckless, but Reckless standing strong.
Warmox regen will come in. Of course, they'll be slower pushing the minions in bot side because they're dealing with the super minions from the side of Gigabyte Marines.
There's an unreal amount of unspent gold as well for both these sides. Fnatic is desperate to make this Baron count. If they have so much gold that they are not spending. Gam closer to their base could tip the scales.
Yeah, 2,000 at least on every carry position and 1,500 on the jungler and support. So that gold lead is actually facetious right now. Gigabyte Marines can fight them item equal for the most part if they find it engaged.
3,100 gold on No Way. Everyone else much, much lower. In terms of effective gold lead, it's probably only a couple of thousand.
Caps down bot side, but blow for blow against Archie looking good. Reckless does not get caught because Gam have no vision as they transition around their base. And Fnatic, they finally take the turret. They open up another inhib, but they do not take it down. And Gam have now had them respawn. Fnatic, their bot inhib also respawns. We have 2 open inhibs on either side, and once again, we are at an impasse.
And we get to take a deep breath, dude. 39 minutes 30. Those shopping trips will happen. The objective that will force the final Alamo for one of these teams is still not decided. The battlefield will continue to change as everyone just resets and gets ready for that titanic last fight.
Yeah, and Reckless is 6 items, as is No Way. So both these AD carries very strong. It's about a half item lead for most of Fnatic that need this large rod to the ward slot when you compare the mid laners. The null magic mantle to the ward slot when you compare with Levi. Sometimes vision can actually be incredibly important, but they're just going to brute force go into the mid.
Again, the hula hoop not good there. So it's actually in, almost mega bit of great work there. Mike hitting away, saying they're taking too much damage. He goes down to Reckless. No Way needs to stay alive in this fight. Brock's are chunked by Optimus, but Soaz just going in. He's going to try and make them around. Got an amazing stun. Soaz gets a kill. Archie left out to dry as well, but Reckless is going to be the target. Flashes out and does not die. Chesterfield, who gets clearer as No Way, moves in there, does get the kill. What a chaotic fight.
It's 2v4. Fnatic still has a full house. Citron!
Great stun. No Way barely lives as Caps can't finish it up, but Broxa, he's taking it in him down, and Levi flashes out to barely live as well, but Soaz gonna hop after. Should go down. Levi, oh my god, he's buying so much time.
And No Way also killed the minion wave in mid. Another extender of the game. If you open up enough space to Sejuani, gets the Warmog's healing, that's going to buy more time, even if his demise is likely.
No Way getting that minion wave dead in the mid lane is game-saving. If he doesn't do that, Fnatic are in the quarterfinals right now.
Now, interestingly, if Levi dies now, he will be dead through Barons. There's a very interesting
thing. Dead.
He's going to die. They will not have smite for Baron.
Gonna get chased down, but the jungler has changed. No Way trying to stall the Elder Drake.
But they're going to get this. They shred this thing. It's a 6-item Trist with Ardent Sensor. They're going to get Elder.
RTTP. Fnatic do know what's happening.
Nars here. Sivir's coming. Sivir is running fast.
Ultimate actually trying to bait them in. Reckless. Little too far forward, but Saya taking the damage. Oh, they barely get it. Does mention still going for it. Soaz, Mega needs to avoid it, but he got the double kill. No Way, still fighting him, but Soaz with the Mega. Caps, finds the touchdown.
Shockwave,
no.
missed.
Oh no, Fnatic inching closer as Optimus going to get taken down by the veteran.
Super minions in the mid wave. After that, after the Elder Drake steal, after No Way killing Reckless, it looks like Fnatic will be going to the quarterfinals.
It's not an ace just yet, but Soaz will ensure it will be. Fnatic surging forward.
One of those shockwaves of the 3 that missed hit, and maybe this game goes a different way, but Fnatic made the more reliable plays. It was not clean, but they should end in the game here, whatever Levi.
Nar is pretty strong. He's keeping the minions away, but if he falls, then it's just going to be a cycle of deaths over and over again. This is desperation with super minions coming from the other side.
And not redemption, not
16
enough.
seconds on No Way, but Caps is going to have ultimate when he comes up.
Saya did respawn. He goes in. Charms gets a knockup, but he's just, again, trying to buy time. Fnatic not having any of it, though.
Caps is pretty low. Most likely over. We have to see it, though. They're very close.
Still going in. Again, Saya trying to make it, but the Nexus is open. No Way makes his way back in, but he's not going to do it. Caps finds a clutch play, and Fnatic do the unthinkable and make their way to the quarterfinals. Still close. Optimus forced the shockwave. The wave has to go in, and there it is.
Ecstatic. What a story. 0-4. Remember, they were 0-3 last week, and they lost the first game of week 2. But from there, win 4 games in a row. We saw Reckless earlier, stone-faced after the game, started to slip away, but it slipped and slid so many different times. Very different emotions from the Fnatic members now than at any moment last week.
And what a roller coaster this group stage was, as well as this game with the Elder Dragon going down right at the very end. So many expectations defied by Fnatic. No one in this group stage format has come back from an 0-3, let alone an 0-4. Not only did Fnatic have to win 4 games in a row to do this, they also needed help from other places. An absolutely miraculous run. A Cinderella story for Fnatic.
And you can see on the other side, of course, defeat in the face of Gigabyte Marines certainly have to be so proud for their first ever appearance at Worlds, just how well they played. But at the end of the day, we have 2 tiebreaks. There can only be one winner, and that winner is Fnatic. From 4th in a lot of people's predictions to just barely in the quarterfinals.
And the Gigabyte Marine spot was earned from their MSI heroics, and their heroics here would have continued to build a big fan base for this team. They were so smart at playing around innovation, at surprising their opponents. In this game, so close at executing clean team fights, but 1, 2, 3 Orianna shockwaves missed. Critical mistakes meant that, unfortunately, while they largely had the macro, they kind of lost the minimum that you need to when you draft scaling. In the clutch moments, they were found wanting.
And you can just see they're playing those fights in their head over and over again. They were in winnable positions, not only in this game, but in the one prior against Longju. They nearly handed Longju that first loss as well, because that's just it. They've been playing and watching games today for 8 hours. The toll of it all and the stress makes it so difficult. And also, all the more impressive, the Fnatic went 4-1 today.
I mean, we started again this tiebreaker off. 2 teams that had never been to Worlds before versus the oldest League of Legends organization in so many ways, but it is that experience that managed to get through. We are lining up an interview with Caps, so I think certainly has to be credited. We'll hear from him in a second, but what an amazing set of games from a player that underperformed maybe more than any in week 1.
And looking at a lot of stats before Worlds, one thing that stood out was Caps performing at a very high level in wins and a very low level in losses. So he's a player that really needs to succeed for this team to win. And he succeeded in a large way this game, especially in multiple fights. Where Reckless went down, it was Caps carrying the damage in a lot of these fights, as well as the CC.
You get to see some replays. You see, unfortunately, another missed shockwave, one of many in this particular game. At points in fights, you thought that even with shockwave missing, the 5v5 on-paper compositional advantage would be enough for the side of Gigabyte Marines, but a 6-item Tristana was not enough to carry them through, as honestly the Tristana was left alone for a lot of these fights, was able to pick up some answering kills along the way, but couldn't be the difference.
Yeah, and in many ways you thought this could have been a game-saving fight for Noe, and specifically this one. Let's watch it one more time, because they get the Elder, and then they crit down Reckless. 1, 2, 3 shots, and you think, oh my god, it's over. No way, though. Can't get past Soaz, is respecting Caps, and right there, he doesn't. He was trying to do the rocket jump buffer against Inaro, but the timing is a little bit off. He falls.
What if Optimus is there a moment earlier, gets the protect shield on, and then hits the shockwave? None of those things happen this particular game. And it's just sinking in for me. I'm sure it's just sinking in for the players. That the one thing you wouldn't have expected from today is that if you were told, okay, it's going to go to 8 games, there's going to be a tiebreaker, you wouldn't have thought Fnatic would be in that tiebreaker after everything that happened on social media and in their games last week. That they come out smiling here, it's just a miracle.
Yeah, coming into the day, we had Longju at 3-0, Immortals at 2-1, not the 2 teams in this tiebreaker, so both these teams made a big surge today, and it was Fnatic who ended up making it to the quarterfinals.
We started with the what if, and we end with is Fnatic make it through, as that will be it from us at the caster desk for today. Let's send it over to Shoxo for a word with Fnatic's rookie in the mid lane.
Thank you very much, guys. I'm here with Caps. Who else? We heard him in a video at the beginning of the day questioning if Fnatic even deserved to go through the day, if it would be a miracle. It is a miracle. No team has ever gone 0-3 in week 1 and made it. You won 4 straight games today to make it. Caps, how do you feel? Do you feel like you deserved it?
I think the first thing I feel is like I feel really tired at this point. There was a lot of close games, but I just want to like cool down a bit. I'm really excited. I'm really happy, especially because a lot of the games were super close and they could have gone either way. And at this point, I don't know. I just need to realize it, I think.
Yeah, I think it's going to hit you pretty soon. I saw how happy you guys were. You talk about being tired, but also very excited, and it was a crazy day. So how did you keep a cool head in the end in that last game? Because you guys didn't start off great in that game. You guys really had to fight for it.
I mean, it was not only the 5 games we played, but we also had to cheer for Longsu in 2 games that were both, like one was, they were 10k behind and we had to sit and cheer for Longsu to win. So we were definitely tired, but and I mean, I think we could feel it as well in the game. People were starting to be a bit tired, but I guess it was the same for them. They were also a bit tired and they made a lot of bad calls, I think, and we were able to punish them. And in the end, we just pulled it out.
I also have to say you had some really clutch moments today as well. Obviously your Syndra was good, but have you felt that your performance was progressing as these games went on today together with the team spirit?
I think it's one of the things where it's like, I mean, usually you just look bad when you lose, right? Because you don't really have any pressure and you don't really have the opportunity to do any plays. While today, the games were a lot more in our favor. A lot of the games were drafted Rexa, so we had the early pressure and we were able to turn the early pressure into 2 kills.
You're so factual, Caps. You just did the almost incredible what nobody believed you to do. Is it still sinking in?
It's definitely sinking in. I think I will go home. We will eat at the buffet probably as a team. And I think maybe when I go to bed tonight, I'm not even going to sleep. I actually have had a bit of problems sleeping lately because I was so excited. And now I really hope I can just finally calm down.
I hope you also get some orange juice at that buffet, by the way. But final question, and we have to ask this. It wasn't great in week 1, obviously. There were a lot of question marks, and you overcame that all. So what can you tell the fans and a lot of your European and around the world fans to keep this going now and make sure that that doesn't happen again before you go into the quarterfinals?
So I think a lot of our games were, both in week 1 and week 2, were closer than we wanted them to be. I think if we want to beat, and we're even going to face a first seed team, and we're going to beat probably a Korean team, we will need to be a lot more convincing. I think especially when we get a lead, we're really bad at closing it out. So I think it's just in scrims, we just have to practice more the situations that arrive on stage, where people don't just fight randomly, they don't take fights that they don't have to take.
All right, well, anything else you want to say, or are you just ready to chill for a bit, cool down, and enjoy your victory at the team?
Yeah, I will just say thanks for supporting me. I mean, the fans have been great. Even when we were losing, I know a lot of fans were still supporting us. And when we were 0-3, I still saw things like we can still get first in our group. So, so in that way, I'm just thankful for all of you out there supporting.
And we're thankful for an amazing day of games. Thank you very much for the interview. Congratulations, Caps and Fnatic. They did it. Incredible. Back over to you guys at the desk.
That they did, Sharks. Thank you. I am still simultaneously baffled.
Oh, I predicted this from the
Yeah, we knew it all.
cold from
Baffled and impressed. Fnatic 4-1 on the day to be the first team in world's history to qualify to the quarterfinals after starting 0-3 in week 1. But more than anything, hats off to both of these teams because they left it all out on the Rift, right? We talked about it, 8 hours of gameplay today. You could see the exhaustion on their faces. It was all about a battle of who could make fewer mistakes, who could capitalize on the rest. Yep. Fnatic come out on top. They've made an incredible run.
And I really do think that was the theme of the day. Who could make fewer mistakes? And I think Fnatic, when it mattered, did play more consistently, was able to execute on plays. We saw key mistakes coming out of their opponents, and Fnatic kind of was the benefit of some more calm play.
I think also individual players really stepping up when it matters. Like we had Reckless some of the games, we had Caps as well, really showing up big time. And I think that was something that benefited Fnatic a lot that some of the other teams maybe didn't get to show, where it only relied on a Levi from Gigabyte Marines or no way here in the last game. But Fnatic had multiple carries to rely on.
Well, I know you mentioned Reckless and Caps, but this is a 5-game affair for Fnatic. I think every member got to step up at a certain point throughout the day because, as Shocks meant, this was pretty much just a miracle run for Fnatic. So many pieces had to come together for this to happen.
And look, and as we're all still kind of coming down from the excitement of the game, I do want to pull up the final fight one more time. Let's look at the craziness that ended it. Let's remember, this fight starts at the Gigabyte Marines base, goes all the way back to Fnatic's, to the Elder, and back to the base.
And I mean, the key thing to track is the shockwave from the Orianna. Optimus not able to really find anyone there, getting pushed out of the fight, and no way, you brought this up, Crumbs. He could have actually Buster shot so as out of there, and perhaps they could have actually kept more members alive for that eventual Elder Dragon.
Yeah, the theme of the day really has been Tristan not using the Buster Shot, but he actually ends up getting so many crits and almost carrying that we get to see him here at the Dragon. And here's where he felt like he had that hero moment where he's going to 3-shot Reckless, explosive shot onto Broxat, then hits the auto attack with the Elder, and he's thinking, this is me. This is my penta.
But then the most criticized player from Europe, Soas, steps up big time, gets him with the ulti, kills the Orianna after as well, and he was 0-3 in this game because he died to the first few ganks, and yet he ends up actually coming huge in these fights here. So super impressive turnaround. He had a great Cho'Gath game earlier as well, and when Fnatic really needed Soas, he was there.
You talk about the most criticized player in SOAS. We'll have an opportunity to hear from him in just a moment, getting that interview set up. While we're getting that ready, let's talk about these 5 members on Fnatic and the run that they made here. Let's not forget, this was the 15th game that they played at Worlds. This team had to come through the play-ins to get to the groups, to now qualify for quarterfinals. I mean, if they don't have enough stage there's no excuses now. There's plenty of stage experience moving on to the next set of games.
Yeah, there certainly is. And honestly, they've been kind of questioned the whole way, right? From losses to Young Generation to almost another loss, them almost going 0-2 to that other GPL team. Then the starting, loss to Gigabyte Marines, everything kind of falling apart. It looks like they have no way to actually come out of this group, but everything came together from their good play to Immortals really falling apart in the second day. Their losses to Gigabyte really helping Fnatic through.
And that's kind of the crazy thing about Fnatic, because they have been inconsistent. There's not always what it seems to be a clear game plan of what it is they want to do. They kind of got to figure out the draft, and then sometimes in-game, they can rely on having some of these big moments from some of these individual players.
Right, we're going to talk about the carries, though. Caps, Reckless in particular, right? The rookie in Caps, he talked about some of the nerves he's had, the excitement of being at the world stage, but hopefully here with some wins under his belt, that's going to help him kind of reframe his mindset and move into the next stage, feeling a little bit more like a veteran, feeling a little bit more unlocked.
Yeah, he's had such an up and down year, basically, on Fnatic, because when he joined the team in spring, all the Fnatic players said, this guy, he's the new one. He's the new big deal in the European mid lane pool. He's a prodigy. His mechanics... Baby Faker was there. His mechanics are fantastic, but we got to see inexperience, obviously, from this guy during the year, where he would overextend when he didn't need to. He would play too aggressive at times. He would get outplayed sometimes. Yet we're still seeing their mechanical ability shine through. And now here at Worlds, at least today, I feel like he's not made any of these over-aggressive mistakes. He's actually just been playing safe, but yet very smart, and he's been able to do a lot in team fights.
Big growth from weeks 1 to week 2. As you just saw, Fnatic managed to secure a spot in the quarterfinals. Let's go ahead and head over to Shox to hear from their top laner.
Thank you very much, guys. Of course, we also wanted to hear from one of the veterans on the squad who's been through practically everything, but I think that this was still a crazy day. Soas, the story coming into today was really hard journey for you guys. You'd have to win every single game and go up against it. Can you just tell me from your perspective from last week, when we saw a lot of negative signals coming out of the team, into today, how did you live today and what changed for the team?
Well, going 0-3 was pretty hard on us, and it was hard to pull through. We just had to focus on the games per games and try to get as many games. We're not thinking about going out of groups. We are just thinking that we wanted to eventually leave Worlds with getting a few wins, right? And in the end, Longzhu beat everyone and helped us a bit, and we managed to beat everyone else. So yeah.
Would you say there was a certain moment where you started believing again, or that kind of changed the dynamic in the team today?
I started really believing after we beat Immortals. As soon as I went on Twitch on top, and then we both killed them, and then we got Baron, then I knew that the game was won, and I thought we had good momentum for the next game, and our team atmosphere was pretty good, so it was like a confidence boost, I guess, for everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that looks like the game that tilted. Finally, you are, of course, a veteran on the team together with Reckless, and you've been through a lot again this world in terms of social media and whatnot. So what, in the end, did you say to the team, or how did you guys help out the other ones, and how did you come together to pull it through?
I think it was really, really hard because it wasn't super hard in terms of team practice and stuff like that, but it's best of one, and you don't have many chances, so you just had more pressure. It's not like you just lose 2 games and you're like, okay, we can win all the next one. It was, as soon as we went all 3, it was really hard to like talk about practice, what to change and stuff like this, because we are not really so open-minded anymore, right? As if it's before Worlds, everyone is way more open and you're way more open to criticism about anything. So yeah, it was pretty hard for us to have a good mindset after this, but yeah, since we were thinking that we were sort of out, you know, I felt like it actually helped us for some reason, you know.
Yeah, it was a kind of a buff. Yeah, that's it then. Did you have fun with the champions you played today?
Yeah, it was pretty fun. Besides the Nautilus one, I didn't like it too much because I was the only engaged, so I just had to int it a bit to like somehow win some team fights. I didn't like the comp of this game, but the other one was okay.
It was okay. Hey, it was fantastic today. Congratulations. So we'll see you in the quarterfinals. Thank you very much for the interview, and back to you guys at the desk.
To me, that's something is playing with nothing to lose, right? Sometimes that can actually relieve some of the pressure when you've already said, hey, we're at rock bottom, we're out of the tournament, you have no expectations, and it allows you to play, I think, more to your normal level and sometimes without the stress of those expectations.
Yeah, we talked about it, right? For Immortals, it was coming in and knowing, oh, we only have to win one. You kind of have that complacency, but then when the losses start coming through, it can sometimes get hard to turn it back on. For Fnatic, we got that nothing to lose mindset. You win the first one. Well, heck, let's just keep going.
I still can't believe how close that first game they won actually was. When we think back, we kept replaying that fight down in the bottom lane where everything went wrong for Immortals. If it wasn't for that moment, Fnatic would not have done what they're doing now. We wouldn't be standing here talking about this, and Immortals would most likely have been in the quarterfinals.
We say that at the same token, though, right? Week 1, game against Immortals.
Very true.
Reckless commits the ultimate crime and going over, over aggressive in the mid lane and played in part a role in that 0-3. So you're seeing all the trials and tribulations of a Worlds run for a team like Fnatic.
And that's been all of Worlds, right? How many games can you think of where it's just a what if? What if EDG didn't group up for SKT's, amazing moment, that engage coming in from Wolf? What if Immortals in the bot lane didn't throw that game? What if Reckless didn't flash forward against Immortals? But that's what these games come down to, right? It is those moments. It's making the right call when the game's on the line, and I think that Fnatic in the end was able to do that.
The test of greatness is to overcome those obstacles. After today's results and Fnatic's historic comeback, they will be joining Longzhu in the quarterfinals, while Immortals and the Gigabyte Marines are heading home. Tomorrow we'll turn to Group C, where RNG are in a great position before their first game against G2 Esports, and the contenders will play 3 games each. We'll get 2 new quarterfinalists by the end of the day. Remember that we start a little earlier this week, with the first game beginning at 12 p.m. local time. That's 9 p.m. Pacific time and 6 a.m. Central European Summer Time. Set your clocks now, set the alarms, whatever it is. Esports never sleeps, according to Crom, so I know he'll be here. Tomorrow's set of games. How pumped are you guys? Especially after we thought today was decided.
Hey, everyone thought Fnatic had no chance. What about G2?
I'm looking forward for 1907 Fenerbahce 03 team. What do they got? Beer, a man with nothing to lose. Hey, they can make a run for it. If Fnatic could do it, who's to say they can't?
Yeah, if today is proof of anything, it's that anything can happen. One more look here at the groups as we move forward. Again, tomorrow we've got Royal Never Give Up, Samsung Galaxy, G2 Esports, and 1907 Fenerbahce.
Really excited to see if Royal Never Give Up can actually maintain their form. Are they legit? Are they this good? Can they actually best Samsung once more?
I think they can. We're talking about the dominant Korean teams, right? Even Caps in his interview said, well, as a 2 seed, we're most likely to play a Korean team as the first seed in the quarterfinals. So the expectation is there for the Korean teams. And that question about whether or not RNG could be that Chinese team to really challenge them.
Well, the expectation is always to expect the worst, basically. So they're just ready to tackle the strongest.
The expectation was also Immortals would get a group today.
Fun fact, by the way, Fnatic actually have a very high chance of not playing a Korean team if Samsung do not get first place in their group, because then it's only SKT they can actually get in that quarterfinal. So RNG first place.
From Group D.
They probably want someone from Group D, yeah.
There's still a whole lot of scenarios that can be worked out. Be sure to join Shocks, Kobe, and Deficio for Worlds tonight in a few minutes as they break down the action from today. Now for myself, the casters, the entire live broadcast crew, thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow for more Worlds 2017. Good night. Over the next next 4 days, our competitors will fight to secure their spot in the quarterfinals, starting today with the teams in Group B.
Legends never die.
The ulti's not going to be getting ready for Levi. Flashes. Digging in with the damage. Going to be low still. Gets him anyway. Blue smite. They might have the first damage. The fear beyond death. Not quite going to come through. Ito it is. He's going to eat him. But he's going to get the kill. He's going to get the sheriff alive. The Baron goes down. Picked up. Now Cody's son. But he's up against Barrier. Only picks up one kill. Urga cannot die. He will not be stopped. And this will be Gigabyte Marines improving 2 and 2.
Legends never
Connor really wants his battle. So it's running out of health. Pops him, looks for the trade, but here comes Redemption. It's going to be the kill. But the lead gets the Prey. Hurricane on. He wants them all. He's got one so far. Jets is next up for the block. The flash forward. A double kill.
Still substantially faster than the group stage average. Longju take the fight, take it home.
This is the game. Last game didn't happen. If we win this, we're in it.
Breath is going to come in and Brock's going to kill Fred on that one. And the flash forward goes on. Oh, the insect up betrays his teammate. And it's going to be the ace for Fnatic.
Hit the Nexus. Valimon. Hit the Nexus.
They got it again. Fnatic wanted more than knockdown Immortal. Gets a great ulti down to talk him in his gorilla.
feathers fly.
Lighting in with the Prey. Put a dance around the middle. So Prey gets him out of nowhere though. Shoots down Cuz. Still running around. Taken by the ring. They win the team fight. It's going to be an ace. Sunlands in on the Prey, but he did take out the Jillian Optimus. Make it happen. Prey though finds the pick. Card grabs that knockup, and that's a kill. It was just too good to be true. Longju find their way back here. Fnatic leap forward. Broxy gets the kill on the cannon. Everybody's flashed in. Archie, the only one left, and Broxa finds the final execute with the ulti. They needed to win, and they have done it.
You're now seeing the late game difference and the late game value
my
between
God.
Janna and Lulu.
That has to be a record. That is insane from Prey. Cody caught by a raptor. That's going to be it. Fnatic push through, take down the Nexus, and look to make world history.
Nice, guys. One more game.
So is Mega. He's all violent, but he got the double kill. No way. Still fighting him. But Fox with the Mega. Cat. Finds the touchdown. Shockwave. No.
Kill Arena, kill Arena!
End the game. Fnatic do the unthinkable and make